business is calling the meeting to order and standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Please remove your hats. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, before we get started, I'd like to just have a moment of silence. This is our first meeting since we've had the Charlie Kirk shooting and also the two legislators from Minnesota. So I'd like a moment of silence for all those who are victims of political violence. Thank you very much. Mr. Clerk, would you please take roll call?
Supervisor Foster.
Here.
Supervisor Blake.
Here.
Supervisor Lane. Supervisor Barnesville.
Here.
And Chairman Fowler.
Here.
All members present.
Great. It appears we have a quorum, all board members present. Consent agenda. Is there anything that would like to be removed from the consent agenda?
I would like to pull item C, the treasurer's report, please.
I'll second that. Any discussion on pulling the treasurer's report? Hearing none. All those in favor of removing the treasurer's report, say aye.
Aye.
All right. On the remainder of the consent agenda, which also includes operators' licenses of Joshua Bachman, Jared Bachman, Bruce Reiner, and Michael Cravens, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as drafted without the treasurer's report?
So,
Motion by Dan, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Susan. All those, discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the consent agenda as a motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Committee reports, chairman report. First of all, I'd like to give a warm town welcome to Nicholas Handlos, our new clerk has been appointed at the last special meeting. So welcome, Nick. Did you have anything you wanted to add, Nick?
yes, I do. I just wanted to make sure that the other items on the agenda were addressed with the corrections on the agenda itself. Do you want to do it before we get down to them or after?
You know what? I think let's talk about the agenda a little bit here. I do see a couple of corrections I think that we need to make on the agenda. I would move that we correct the agenda in item 6, public hearing. It says special exemption, should say exception. And in item 7, same typing error appears, should say exception instead of exemption. And on the back page on 23, the rate is incorrect. It should be 2108 instead of 20. Do I have a second to my motion to make those corrections to the agenda?
I'll second.
All right, any discussion on changes to the agenda? Hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Thank you for that, Mr. Clerk. Anyway, to the, I have 2 items I want to talk about in the chairman's report. I attended earlier this month, well, technically September, a meeting with Excel Energy on the high energy power line proposal to be added through the town. If you'll bear with me, I'm going to try to get these up on the screen. All right, so I had this map printed from them. The current plan is there's several alternatives, routes. I guess what I'd like to focus on is the area in pink here. That, regardless of which route they take to get to that spot, proposal is that basically, starting on the west side of the highway there where it's 12, and then crossing over to the east side and going through our newly created youth athletic district, there will be a proposal for high energy power lines. Now, I spoke to the project manager, and I also want to acknowledge Dave O'Brien from Boosters came with me, because obviously where this project is, will go right across this brand new proposed station, ball field. So I want to thank Mr. O'Brien for coming with me, and basically I expressed to the project manager of this project that this idea of putting a substation where the red dot is there, Snow Junction substation, I said, this will take one of our 3 newly created lots for youth athletics. And I basically said, if you want to give a middle finger to our community, please take one of our youth athletic spots. So I told him in no uncertain terms that we were not excited about having a substation in the only 3, one of the only 3 lots that are reserved now with our zoning for youth sports. I think he was receptive to that. I pointed out a couple of alternatives. Where my finger is here, there's some commercial land that's for sale. Also to the north end for the substation location. But then that does get pretty close to the existing substation that they're trying to connect to. Anyways, it's really important that, especially for you Boosters folks, if you're going to build this nice new stadium, I would hope that your energies would be spent filling out one of these public comment forms that you send to Excel. This is available on our website under the project. And indicate that, you know, these are spots reserved for youth sports, and please find an alternative. Because the more community members they hear from, the more weight they're going to give it. So if I have an ask of the Boosters for a change, it is to please fill out this form and submit your comments to Excel. I've also heard from probably 2 dozen or more residents who are not happy that this segment H going along here will go right through residential rather than going through the commercial existing. And I agree with that 110%, that is a better location to go where it's not going to be in the backyards of residential owners. If there is one positive to this, on the lower stretch here, you know, we have some lots that have some setback with trees along that area, so it won't be going directly over the house. So, anyways, it's really important that we have community input. I certainly am going to fill out one of these public comment forms on behalf of the town of Hudson and express my views as chairman. And again, I appreciate Dave O'Brien's coming to that meeting. We essentially coordinated so we get there about the same time, just to express our feelings on the matter directly to itself. I would say this is probably the second biggest thing that we have going on in our township right now in terms of potential impact. So again, everybody who's opposed to this, please get out this form and send it in. Their game plan is to take public comment and submit a plan. Now, keep in mind, this is high energy power lines, so under law, we can't stop this. Power lines are not something that we have the power to stop. We could have input on where they go. So that is really important, because this ultimately would be decided with the PSC of Madison. So this is not something we can legally stop. But we can, if we have a coordinated effort, perhaps finding a route that is livable for all. I do think that it would be a good idea to amend our newly created youth athletic district to include some prohibited uses, such as power substations, materials lots, sewage facilities, all these things that we don't want there. We were in a hurry, I think, to get, this approved for, to have the boosters process go forward. But I think we should probably even call a special meeting, because if we're going to do this, we've got to do it before December. when we submit this. And I'd rather have prohibited uses come up in time before it gets submitted to the PSC.
Mr. Chairman, the only thing comment I would add though is that in that district, we already have two underlying zones. One is the light industrial, the other is the ag res, and what is allowed within those areas is already in our code. And if it doesn't specify that a certain thing is allowable, it is therefore not allowable.
I agree, but if we make I agree, there's nothing wrong about what you said.
Yeah.
But if we as a town say we've made a conscious choice that these are incompatible with youth sports district, then we are going to be on a much better scale. And I don't want to get too much deep into the weeds on legal strategy in public, but I think that is the best alternative. So I will likely be calling a special meeting in October to vote to change our newly created youth athletic district to include some prohibited uses. So that's my report as it relates to Excel. Excel's not on the agenda, so if anybody wants to talk about it, Excel, there's a public comment section coming up here, so feel free to do that, okay? The second part I want to talk about in my chairman's report is I am very grateful to a lot of people who have helped us during this time of transition. And I am proposing to create the Chairman's Award for citizens, vendors, or other people who have helped us through this time. It is not going to cost us anything. I'll eat the cost of creating a certificate that's all it is public recognition. So I am going to create the Chairman's Award. Since it doesn't require a cost, I don't think it needs a vote. And I am going to, I already have several individuals in mind who helped us immensely. And so I will, at the next regular meeting, be presenting 5 or 6 Chairman's Award to people who have done an outstanding job for our township. And so that is my plan. That's all I have to report, other than tomorrow, I'm meeting with the Highway Department to go on a ride-along as we rate our roads. And I'm going to be here at 12:10, and I think I will invite Nick to come along. And so I want to learn the process of how it is that we rate those roads and see with my own eyes what problems we may have within those roads. So that's my report for today. Any questions from the board members on my report? Hearing none. Item number 5, public comment. Please only speak to items not on the agenda. Any public comment? Any public comment? Last chance. Any public comment? Hearing none. We'll move forward to the public hearing. All right, so this is a public hearing request by the Hudson Boosters for a special exception permit under Chapter 105, 33, subsection C for the development of a youth-oriented recreational facility with hours of operation from 6:30 a.m. to 10:30 p.m. for ordinance 105-3, hours to mirror Grandview Park. Now, here are the general rules that we will do for this. And Nick, I hope you have a phone with a timer. Something I may have neglected to tell you. The way this is going to work is Town of Hudson residents first will be allowed to speak to the microphone up here. Your time is generally limited to 2 minutes. I'm not going to be like, sit down, or anything like that. But if you're getting close, I will have you wrap it up. And Nick is going to keep some time, and he might give you a wave and say 30 seconds left or something like that. If you're not a town resident, please wait until everybody that has spoken once that is a town resident has completed their speaking. Then after the non-residents will speak, again for 2 minutes maximum, we will allow 1 minute additional speak from town residents, and that is the general procedure we follow all the hearings. So with that, we will open the floor to public comment on the boosters proposal. And if you could, before you start, state your name slow enough that Mr. Hanlos can get your name down, make sure the microphone's on, and state your address, please.
Dave O'Brien, President of Hudson Roosters, 762 Park Ave. And I'm in favor of this special exception application. I'd like to start with thanking the past and present town board and staff went through this process. It's been a fairly long one. Many public hearings, creation of a special district. There's a lot of effort involved there, and those efforts have come back on notice. How long has this process been? Today is the 413th day since the pre-application meeting with town staff. So obviously we've gone through a full year, and so what does the past year look like in regards to sports? Unfortunately, it would look like previous years that we are unable to accommodate all requests for the youth sports which we support, baseball, softball, football. We were unable to accommodate all scheduled and requested practices. And actually this year we're actually unable on some of the baseball teams to complete a full league schedule because of rescheduling games due to weather and the unavailability of fields later in the season prior to their league's mandated completion of the season. So I'd like to point out that this complex would address those shortfalls and those issues. And primarily it will address the current issues, which is happening ongoing, are ongoing, and will be resolved until we solve them. We're not asking the taxpayer money, just an approval to borrow grant funds to construct this facility. So I would urge you to please pass this motion. Thank you.
Yep. I'll wait till you get back. Scott Johnson, 903 Ward Road. I'm the Hudson Booster Board, also the Hudson Booster Softball Commissioner. Thank you for your time today, appreciate it. I know it gets thrown around a lot that it's for the kids, right? Everybody uses that. Our organization's been around since 1952. We do it for the kids. That's why we do this. Everybody out here puts in countless volunteer hours. There's not one paid person in this audience today. All we're asking for from the board here is approval to go forward with our project. Thank you.
Hey, you guys, John Reader, 387 Crown Lane. I am the baseball commissioner for the Hudson Boosters, also on the board. I think this is my fourth or fifth time up here to have this conversation, so I kind of run out of what things to say, besides the fact that it boggles my mind that I have to be up here 4 or 5 times to have this conversation, to try to get something passed to the point where we're not asking for money, we're not asking for anything, we're asking for something, like Scotty just said, for the kids. It's tough for a group of volunteers like us. I mean, there's probably, I think since 1952, the Boosters has been what I would consider the youth sports or the parks and recs for both the town of Hudson along with the city of Hudson. I think we provide a great value. And again, it's just hard to understand why this is such a process. I understand the process for a lot of things, and it's never easy, but I really hope that this is the final opportunity for everybody to understand that this is for the kids. This is all we do. We do it for volunteers. We don't get any money. And we're just looking for you guys to approve the space for us to do this for our kids and for the next generation. Realistically, my kids and most of these people behind us won't have their kids playing this sport complex, but it's benefits the community, benefits everybody. So I hope that we're on the right track to move this thing forward and not continue to do the circle of life that it seemed like it's been for the last year. It's a big process. There's a lot of people involved in it, like I said. So I hope this goes through and we can get moving on it. But I thank you guys for your time, and we'll let the next person talk.
Thank you.
Hi, Greg White, 831 Kelly Road. How many innings does it take to build a youth-oriented recreational facility? Apparently, it takes a full 9 innings and maybe extra innings. Continuing with the baseball analogy, earlier this year, the first public hearing was held and failed to gain town board approval, leaving the bases loaded and the boosters failing to score. Later, a second public hearing was conducted to secure a new zoning district. This hearing was nearly a home run, but the ball bounced over the fence for a ground rule double, leaving the runner on second base until tonight. So again, we're all gathered here tonight to see if we can get that runner home. And here's the windup and the pitch. The Hudson Boosters are requesting a special exception to build a youth-oriented recreational facility on Highway 12. The pitch is hit into deep center field. The runner on second base takes a long lead, waiting to see if the ball is caught. No, the ball goes over the center fielder's head and hits the fence. The runner takes off to third and begins rounding third base. Just as the runner begins heading for home, the third base coach throws up his arms and yells, "Stop!" The runner is confused. The manager in the dugout's going crazy. And at that moment, and other players and parents are confused as well. And at that moment, the umpire calls time and suspends the game because there is no clear base path from third base to home, as the Hudson Boosters have no public roadway to access their property from Highway 12. Without a public road, there can be no special exception. Without a special exception, there can be no runs scored. So I am requesting the board tonight to please clearly inform the Boosters what it is going to take to get that runner on third to score, so we do not have to continue meeting like this and hopefully avoid extra innings. Thank you.
Public comment.
Eric Sokowski, 4-3, Quarry Meadows Drive. High college analogies, but here we go. So I'm the Hudson softball travel director, also on the board, obviously supporting the project. My ask today is let's invest in the youth. People do not invest in the youth very often. This will give them a prime opportunity to enjoy sports on a team, make friends. So that's just my ask is let's support the youth of this month. Thank you.
Mark Johnson, 643 Cobblestone Park. Member of the Boosters, have coached for many years. I think this is an excellent opportunity for the township. Obviously, it would be fantastic for youth in the community. I support it, and I really hope that you all would do the same. Thank you.
John Henry, 1207 Grass Lake Road. I'm Vice President of Hudson Boosters. I'm here to support this program. I have my son and my grandsons go through the programs. Hudson's got a very competitive program here. We've got a lot of youth playing here. 2 years ago, I had a tournament, 45 young T-ball players, because again, I'm not doing this for. There's a need for this for the community. There's players here that would like to play longer. So I want to support the program. There's things that the district need to do that we're not aware of. I really appreciate hearing about it before we have meetings like this. Thank you.
Good evening, Steve Herson, 813 Harborview Road. I'd like to tag on with Greg's assessment a little bit, and I want to explain my reasoning why this special exception permit should be denied. One of the critical requirements that was under Wisconsin Act 67, which was passed in 2017, said that the burden of proof is on the applicant provides substantial evidence that they will comply with the ordinance requirements and permit conditions. And that's right off the Wisconsin Towns Association frequently asked page on conditional use permits. And it's to this point that I want to explain that the boosters have failed to provide the detailed information that is expected to be seen in an application for a conditional use. For a special exception to be required, as Greg pointed out, our Article 2 states that every lot has to have access to a public road. It's a requirement. And the boosters have gave no details up to the planning commission or to you as the board to this picture. You've seen nothing about this area up here on how they're going to get to Highway 12. You look at that, it looks kind of nice, but there's no details. And the part I believe that the board has to keep in mind, in order for that to happen, the owner of that lot, who is Mr. Waldschmidt, he's got to give up land, and it's got to be provided to the town to make a road by Hudson Town standards returned over to the town. So, and in order for that to happen, the town, Mr. Waldschmidt, and the boosters need to come to an agreement. It's got to be signed, we need to come in here, and they will, at that point, when all three parties agree, they would be eligible for a special exception permit. So I would say, I'm here to deny this at this time, simply because the requirements for a special exception have not been met. The details aren't there. And I'd like to just add on for the end, things need to be in writing. What I'd like to see is the other conditions as well that you guys have talked about. The parking, the fencing, the buffering. All those need to be put into the request and condition, and then allow the public to see that in writing, that that's what you guys are going to agree to. My other complaint to this is, as was brought out, that there's been a number of public hearings. The Planning and Zoning Commission, who the public should really be able to have some input to, the only ones they're going to listen to is the boosters. And when we've tried to come forward and express our concerns, we've been told right off the bat, no, this isn't a public hearing, so your input is not take. That leaves us to come here and have to fight for 2 minutes to try to get, to express our concerns. So that's where I'm at. Thank you for your time.
Josh Lucky, 629 Hillary Farm Road. I'll be brief. This isn't one thing, but I'd like to say that as a lifelong resident of the town of Hudson, grew up here, moved away, went through the booster program as a youth. All of you now have 2 daughters going through the softball program. So it was here to provide support for the project. Development skills, stay for youth, as everybody keeps saying. Maybe not my kids, but future kids. So yeah, I give my full support for the project and working with the standpoint.
Public comment. Public comment from town residents. I say it a 3rd time, we're done. All right, there we go.
My name is Brenda Ackerman, 788 Larson Lane. We do have property that adjoins the soccer complex as well. So I have a little bit different view, and I'm here to publicly say I am fully in support of what the Boosters are doing as a parent of the softball and baseball players, and as a resident.
James Stuck, 871, Charlie Rand Road. I don't have any baseball analogies, but like maybe everyone who's engaged in this process over the many years that you probably get it to we've been at. I think it's time to get this done. I think the benefits of youth sports are not to be. I think there's been a lot of process around this, trying to get this thing done. I think not a fan of the exception. I think that you should have done it the way you planned in the previous board, where you had a youth sports thing drafted, which would have worked well. But you chose not to do that. Now you've got this special exception. You've got the space. You know what the boosters want. There's lots of support for it. And it's just time to get it done. So I'm just here to urge you to get it over the hump and get it finished. Thank you.
Emily Krieger, 387 Cracker Lane. I just would like to give my support to the Hudson Boosters special exception, and they continue to support the Emily Adventures. Thank you.
Good evening. Andrew Nelson, 833 Moonbeam Road West in Township. Certainly, I hope you voted and supported this. And all I'll say is that if you don't vote and support it, I'd ask that you have the courage to show up to the booster games and explain to the kids why you did. So I hope you make the right decision. Thanks.
Joel Road, 838 County Road. I am a fan of kids. I don't think this is about the kids. I believe it sounds to me like the process that was being passed of the boosters has failed. So it's a matter of whether or not this group, the board, is willing to accept their redo. And if that's the case, that's great. Go home with your homework and then come back for the special exception, but you haven't done your homework.
Public comment from town residents.
John Souza, 894 Highlighted Trail. Also just wanted to express my extreme thanks to the board for being here, but also to the Booster organization. You know, I really want to speak as a parent with 4 kids who live in the town of Hudson. We've had to travel everywhere around the town of Hudson just to play our home games. I've worked with the Boosters. I've tried to do scheduling when my kids are there. It's very difficult. We live in a community that doesn't have a Parks and Recs department that coordinates youth sports for us, that all of this work is done by volunteers. We're all doing the very best we can. And this project is needed. It's a $15 million donation to the town of Hudson to bring this beautiful first-class facility. Please don't waste this opportunity to vote in favor of it. It really, truly is for the kids and the kids as well as the town deserve it. Thank you.
Public comment from town residents. Public comment from town residents. I think we have one coming up here, so I'll stop by.
One more from back there. Dominic bus stop 425 Swift Circle. I've got 3 kids that have been through Boosters, and a great organization, but our field situation in Hudson is pretty sad compared to a lot of other communities. So really want to thank the Boosters, the board there, the work that they've done to put this together, the time that you guys are taking to listen to our feedback too. So it is all about the kids, and I think it's a great plan. There's still going to be a lot of work to do, right? Just to get approvals, a long ways to go still. So just look for your support for this project. Thank you.
Jake Howell, 724 Greenbrier. I'm a coach in town. I have a couple kids, and I've been to a lot of these meetings now. And I just want to say thank you to the board and then also the Boosters. I feel like, the Boosters have taken their time, volunteer, and they've done a lot to come here prepared, right? To do their homework, to have the PowerPoint. And it seems like every time we come, there's, we got to fix this thing, or we got to fix that thing, or, we're not sure about this. And that's great. So I feel like, we've taken our time, right? We've heard from the community, we're going too fast, we got to slow down, we got to do this right. But what about the lighting? What about the microphone? What about this? What about that? And every time we've come back with patience and we've said, hey, actually, we've done this, we've done that. And at some point, I feel like we gotta go for it. And if we can't figure things out in 2 years, then people are going to start really having to determine if Hudson is the right place to want to raise kids and play youth sports if we can't get something like this done in 2 years. So I fully support it. It's got to happen for us. This is really a gift to the town that we really need.
Public comment from town residents. Public comment from town residents.
Did we do another one?
We're going to do the 2 minutes first. Public comment, town residents. All right. Now we will open the floor up to non-town residents. You have the same amount of time to speak. Welcome. Please state your name and where you're from.
Todd Gilbert, 2 Burgos Park, Hudson, Wisconsin. If you get off on exit 40 and go right, or go south, that's actually Gilbert Road. Our family was founded here in this town in the late 1800s. My grandfather was a major volunteer in this community through school and youth and church. My father started his volunteering as a fireman, and then when his 2 sons started to get of age to be involved in youth athletics, he gave up his passion of firefighting and joined the Boosters. When joining the Boosters, he then got on the board for 15 years. He was president for 5 years. I have specific memories watching my dad and all of his friends support youth in this community. I remember as a kid driving up to the old Newton Park, watching them volunteer and ref and cook and serve with the football program. I remember getting in the cars and nights and weekends, dragging fields. They then taught us, that generation before us taught us about volunteering, taught us about how important it was to give back to this community. And that is the desire that we have in front of us. I would echo some of the statements that were made earlier tonight, that for most of us, our children will not play on this field, will not play on these fields. The future for the youth, for these communities, for our town, for our city, for our school district, this is an amazing opportunity in front of us, and we have unbelievable support. I look through this room and I see generations of Hudsonites in here that want to do nothing but carry the traditions forward for the youth of this community to continue to attract, continue to retain the high talent and class that is in this community. I've been walking side by side with Dave O'Brien through this 413 days. We have done what has been asked. We have had public hearings. We've invited the neighbors. We've met with the neighbors. We've had multiple meetings with Mr. Walshman, who I didn't hear from tonight, but yet, I have not yet heard from Travis that said that he is against anything that we are doing. He is on board with our project. Matter of fact, it's been a great partnership working with Travis on the plans that he has for his property, that we have for our property. The special exception, from my viewpoint, is for us to be able to get to the point so we can get accomplished what others have spoke about when they're saying no to this special exception. We will not move forward without you approving site plans, without you approving roads, without you having a major part of what we will do when we have the opportunity to move forward with planning. But until we get the special exception, we cannot move forward with planning. We are not going to spend these kids' money on things that are not necessary, that have not been brought to our attention to be necessary up to this point. The special exception is granted for us to now take it to the next level, to now continue to refine plans, to now continue to work with you, Travis, and the boosters on the plan, on the roadway. We will not do this wrong. This is a Class A facility that we are intending to build. The outpouring that has come to us from this community, from other communities around, of the importance of what this is for the youth of the future has been astonishing to me. I've been out of the booster program for probably around 12 years or so. I coached 8 years of booster football. They called and they asked for me to come back in to help and support the plan and the project. Only did I join to do that, to help the youth of the future. In no way are we going to put our names and our reputation for this organization that's been around since 1952 at risk to not fulfill and do this project correctly. There is no way we will move forward without making sure that we are on the same page and that we do this correctly once we get through the special exception approval. Thank you.
Public comment from non-residents.
Good evening, Dustin Shekel, 337 Suline Road, Town of Troy. Here to support the youth recreational facility. Firstly, I've been involved with the Booster organization for the past 4 years, investing hundreds of hours of volunteer time. I'm only one person. There are dozens and dozens and dozens of other parents, grandparents, and others that invest the same amount of time. Firsthand, I've seen the benefits of this organization in terms of its positive impact on youth athletics, the sense of community, not to mention the additional revenue these sports families that travel in from the Twin Cities and Eau Claire bring into our community. This is undoubtedly a great project for the community, and we hope the board feels the same. Thank you.
Good evening. Eugene Huffbauer, 719 Wood Circle North. I'm also a Booster board member, softball committee member, and a coach as well. This has been a long process. I think by now, on both parties, we've done our due diligence to get this thing moving forward. On that note, I fully support the Booster Capital project and any means necessary to get this pushed forward and pushed through. Thank you for your time.
Good evening, Tom Smith, 927 3rd Street, Hudson. One-time Booster member, 5-year president. My kids are long since through the program, but they had a wonderful time, softball, baseball, football. And as I walked up here tonight, a perfect symbol of Boosters and the town working together are these 4 immaculate fields that are to the west and north of this building. The only word for them is immaculate. When I joined the club 20 years ago, there were 2 fields. Randy Lau and the town and the Twins worked together to build that Westmost baseball field. Then, a few years back, smart minds found a few square feet to have a t-ball field for the youngest of our players. And when you go out there on a summer afternoon, they're just thrilled. They don't know it's a tiny little parcel, an afterthought. So, we've got a great history of working with the township. We've been around forever, 1952. As Todd Gilbert so eloquently spoke, this is about generations of citizens and bringing their youth up, and they're to the 4 winds. My kids are in New Orleans, Rochester, New York, and Atlanta right now, thriving, but it all started with boosters. Sports, booster days, etc. So, thank you so much for all that you do, and please support this exception so we can take it to the next level. Thank you.
Ryan Johnson, 568 Boundary Road. I don't think I'm going to bore you guys away with anything new that you haven't heard already through multiple meetings. But I want to put in perspective the effort that's being done, most spirited and motivated debates and efforts are done on selfishness. And this entire thing is selflessness. The kids that are going to benefit from this facility are not our own. It's just doing the right thing. It's leaving behind something better, being proud of what we've done, and fighting for something that's right. And the effort that's been given has been done in the right way, patience and diligence, and it's been consistent, and it's been a powerful movement because people want to do what's right. And it's not for us. It's not selfishness. It's all selflessness, which is something that we're trying to teach our kids, and we're trying to do behind. And so my hat goes off to Diego Ryan and everybody that's helping him. They're a perfect example of the selflessness that this facility will give. Thank you.
Public comment from non-residents.
Good evening, I'm Dan Gibble, 542 Autumn Ways Trail in the town of Troy. I've been a Hudson resident for a little over 20 years now and have 3 kids that have benefited from Hudson Booster programs, both baseball and softball. I've had an opportunity to coach countless hours with that and really appreciate the impact that Boosters has had as far as just a positive influence on their life. It's more than just sports, and I think we all know that. I mean, sports is a piece of it, but for the kids to really grow into develop into good human beings, they learn a ton of things as far as teamwork, just sportsmanship, rules, following. It's endless with this. So, from my perspective, I'm very supportive of the Boosters proposal. I believe we have to continue to invest in our kids, and quite frankly, to do that, we need to continue to have facilities that will allow for us to do so. Thank you.
Luke Tree, 5 Friends of Deep Green. I'm the current treasurer of the Hudson Boosters. I've spoken up here a couple of times already. I'll keep this brief. I think the one thing I just want to emphasize, over the past 400 plus days, we've really made a conscious effort as a board, as an organization, to dot all our I's, cross all our T's. We'll continue to do that. I think every time we've been asked this, we've been more than happy to accommodate, workarounds, whatever the case may be. So I just want to emphasize that our track record over the year plus of working with you, coordinating all this together will continue into the future. Thanks for your time.
If I may, clerk, sir, could you state your name again one more time?
Luke Tree.
Thank you.
Mike Aiken, 2201 White Pine Court, Hudson. I've been a resident of Hudson since 1998, that's 27 years. I've seen the community grow from like 6,000 to where we have 14,000 plus, somewhere around there. I've been a booster member for many years, coached, like many dads here. My kids are not going to see this field, but it is for the kids in the future. Everything everybody else has said. And the thought process, it's good to partner with neighbors, with people who oppose, and get things worked out and move forward with it. It's been 2 years. We've wasted 2 years, not wasted. We've discussed and gone through this for a couple of years. It's time to move to the next step, I believe. I have kids that play soccer in the Twin Cities. I go to these complexes where you think professional sports teams there. You know, you see this all over the place. You see it starting to pop up in Richmond, other suburbs. If Hudson doesn't take action, I think we'll step behind instead of forward. One other thing I want to mention is, as far as the community goes, you see it's for the kids, yes, but also when you bring in tournaments, what does that do for the economy? What does that do for restaurants? What does that do for possibly hotels and things like that? You know, we also have to look at the businesses that are going to possibly benefit from this. My last comment is going to be the golf course. I lived next to the golf course that was there. And I understand the property was bought, but then it was sold, and there's homes there, which is fine. But there's no golf course in town, so people go to River Falls, they go out, you know, outside of Hudson. So we've lost that opportunity, and I understand it's a growing community, you have to have residential areas. This, I think, is a good opportunity to kind of solidify this for the boosters and the kids. I think the boosters have done a great job. I think it's going to be a win-win for the community, the economy, and hopefully grow Hudson even further. So thank you for your time.
Hi there. Jenny Shekel, 337 Sioux Line Road. So I've heard the concerns raised about Hudson Boosters, so I just wanted you guys to consider the perspective that planning processes like this are iterative, and that's not negligence, it's just the reality of the planning process. So the truth is, if someone is looking to find holes in a plan, they will find them. You can pick apart any project if that is your goal. But this organization, they followed every step of the process, and they've been very transparent along the way. Hudson does not have a rec department, but what we do have is an amazing, fantastic
successful and growing program that benefits our youth. The games bring a sense of belonging. Kids come from all backgrounds. They find purpose, they find drive, and they realize skills that they didn't even know they had. And also community spirit. It resonates beyond just families coming. Other students and people come to the games and they cheer fellow classmates on. So I'm just encouraging us to make some responsible choices and not depend on growth. Thank you.
Public comment from non-residents.
Good evening, my name is Zach Kanslin, 646 10th Street North. On the softball committee, the Boosters, I'm the ball director. Just some numbers real quick. This is my second year as the ball director. When I took over 2 years ago, we had about 110 girls who played in fall. We set a new record last year, 136 girls. We set a new record this year, 176 girls. We've seen a 40% increase in just the last 2 years. You know, we are doing everything we can to make sure that we're providing a good experience for these girls, but the reality is we're just running out of space to do that. I agree with everything most of the folks have said. We're developing future leaders, we're developing the future of this community. I'm also a coach. Coach my daughter's 12 team. I've coached on every field in Hudson, and I've coached on hundreds of fields across the metro. And what I guess I'll just say is, it's not just the eyes of Hudson that are on this. I have coaches from other organizations in Minneapolis, in St. Paul coming up, who don't have the ability to play in a complex like this. They can't even find space for their girls, and they're pulling for this, right? So it's not just the eyes of Hudson on this, it's the eyes of the metro and the bigger area, and really support this. I hope that gets past success. Thank you very much for your time.
Public comment from non-residents.
Flat Hatch, 70 East Canyon Drive. Just want to make mention, I'm the traveling trial director for baseball, and this is my second year. Every year for the 2 years that I've done it, the calls that I get after trials are done with frustration of their kid not making a team, and the fact that we can't put a single A team together on the traveling side because we don't have the field space that it requires the time it takes to add that extra team. Another frustration point on the baseball side is the in-house program is maxed out. They continue to take as many kids that sign up, which is great. I got a lot of feedback after the trials this year that they're not getting the type of development that they'd like to get because they just don't have enough field space time with the current fields that we have with the Hudson program. So it creates this disparity with the in-house program and how much time they're getting, how they can develop, and possibly some of these kids would be high school baseball players. Not all the travel kids go to Hudson baseball. And there's a disparity in how much development they're getting because we just don't have space. So that's from my perspective, and I appreciate all of you taking that. Thank you.
Public comment from non-residents.
My name is Chris Olson, 1202 3rd Street in Hudson. I also am on the board of the Hudson Soccer Association. I think I'd like to start by saying I feel like a lot of this is rooted in the concern that the Hudson Soccer Association would follow suit in a lot of the things that were done. So instead what happened is poor Dave and the Boosters have spent another 12 months or so trying to figure out how to work through special zoning areas, special exemptions, And they really has come to the table with everything that you've asked for. And the amount of research and effort they put into this grade 8 facility for this entire community cannot be ignored. It's unfortunate nobody really, like, as a development side of the town, really came down to the Hudson Soccer Association about what our plans were, and really we felt the original plans that were there were going to work well for the boosters, and probably weren't even going to work for us anyway. But regardless of the fact, I think that you come to a solution that works for the boosters, and I can say from my standpoint, and actually from what I can tell you, many of the board members that we have, we are 100% in support of you making this special exception. Even though it completely excludes us as a soccer association, it's right for the community, it's right for the boosters, and it's time that we start to support our children.
All right, public comment from non-residents. Public comment from non-residents. All right, one more.
Ben Tricky, 2013 Hunterville Court, City of Hudson. I'm the secretary of the Hudson Boosters. I'm not going to waste your time rehashing all the positive comments that other supporters of the Boosters have said in favor of this. I'm just here to say that I support the special exception to the zoning ordinance. Thank you.
Public comment from non-residents. Public comment from non-residents. Third time will be it. Public comment from non-residents. All right. Back to comment for town residents. 1 minute. Please try to be strict on the time limit for this one.
Dale Bryant, President of Hudson Boosters. I'd like to address the access portion of it. Hudson Boosters does have deed access across the parcel for Mr. Walsh, that's 2 Highway 12. Can't purchase land from the state to be a landlord, so there is deed access. Part of the 413 days with the papers that you have, there's a copy of the easement that is in there. I would like to draw your attention to the actual application that was submitted, and number 2 on there says traffic, enter, exit, amount, frequency, weight, and safety. And the response on there is, I'll read it out so I'm right here. This traffic access to Highway 12 has been determined by the Wisconsin DOT through all Lot 1 as depicted on certified survey map document 942994, reported on 10/11/2011, and access easement document 943751, reported on 10/25/2011. Those 2 documents were actually part of the initial application, and as I mentioned, was actually on the application. Additionally, we have spoken with Wisconsin DOT, and they help determine what the stacking will be carried off. Thank you.
1 minute comment from town residents. 1 minute comment from town residents.
I'd like to challenge that comment that we just had. Statutes have changed since that time. And as of 2017, and in our state, town statutes, it says that they must access a public road per town standards. The access that he speaks of was a land easement negotiated, or I should say, it's just a negotiation between Mr. Waldschmidt and Boosters that does not allow them, it doesn't grant them by right public access for 700 cars on a normal basis that they probably could have on a given time. That's, so no, I don't, and I'll throw this one more thing in. If this were a business that was trying to come in and get on that lot that they are right now and said they wanted to put up, and you're going to let them have an access road per that certified survey act, there's no way that that would pass here.
It's not apples to apples.
Yes, it is.
It's not apples to apples.
It is, and Todd,
Hey, sir, we're not done. Okay? We're going to respect this process. If you want to get up and do your 1 minute, you have the floor. But we're not going to do outbursts, okay? Thank you.
Todd Gilbert. First of all, it's not apples to apples, okay? Because this is, this is for the special exception to the zoning that has changed for youth sports. So it's not apples to apples. Secondly, that we have met with the Wisconsin DOT in the last 413 days. How do you say that that is not applicable? That is, and that has been part of the application since day one, yet that has not been brought forward in any way, shape, or form saying that that does not comply.
Sir, Scott Johnson, 903 Wood Road. Over the past year or whatever it's been, I hear a lot about traffic, right? I've heard it multiple times. We just had a 30-16 tournament this weekend at Grandview. Tulane Road didn't have one issue, okay? We've had bigger tournaments than that at Grandview. Over the past 10 years, we never had one issue, not one accident, not one kid get hit, nothing. Absolutely zero. And that's a 2-lane road in the city, okay? It's not a 4-lane road out here with an access point going. So I just wanted to make that clear that we have had zero issues there. So that was it. Thank you.
One-minute comment from town residents.
So, my name is Marshall Avery. I live at 516 Stagecoach Trail on Hudson. I actually am here with my son, who's been part of the Boosters program through the last 5 to 6 years. I have multiple children in the Boosters program. Everybody's heard the comments about needing more facilities. My son was part of a single-A team that they experimented with that they weren't able to continue on due to field space. I strongly encourage that we go forward the Boosters facility will benefit, might not benefit my children because they'll probably outgrow it by the time, but it'll benefit my children's children if they stay in this area or friends who have younger children.
1-minute comment from town residents. The gentleman approaching the mic, you don't have to leave your hands.
Thank you, Mr. Fowler. Tim Hackman, town resident. Mr. Fowler, you as I apply statutes and case law on a daily basis, generally in different contexts. I trust you, the board, and everybody else here will heed the advice of Mr. Gilbert and apply due process. And to suggest that somehow Boosters is going to be able to pull anything over on the board, I think is ridiculous. So this is just the start. And in terms of Boosters' approach, there's still lots of work to be done. Well aware of that, but I trust the board is likewise well aware of that. They know what their job is, and I'm sure they'll do it well. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. 1-minute comments for town residents.
Travis Waldschmidt, 534 Hudson Road. I am the neighbor, the Waldschmidt that everybody's saying with the access.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but you're going to get 3 minutes. You didn't speak before, and I want to hear what you have to say. So you're going to get 3 minutes.
Okay, I don't need 3 minutes.
I don't want to cut you short.
I grew up in the Boosters program. My dad coached. Todd and I played baseball together, t-ball together, behind our shop because there weren't baseball fields at the time. And then we played downtown Hudson. And I've been through the system. I've got boys that have been through the system. I've got another boy right now that is in the Boosters baseball program. I am 100% supportive of the fields going in, the access road, the easement access road will be county standard road. We're in talks of how it should go, where it should go. But if they don't have the opportunity to put the fields in, why should we talk about all the details? It's a waste of time. But if you guys allow the fields to go in, I will be a very friendly neighbor to the Boosters organization.
We don't comment during this time, but can I ask you to stay for the next section, please? Of the meeting. Okay, thank you. Public comment from town residents, 1 minute. Public comment from town residents for 1 minute. Public comment from town residents for 1 minute. Hearing none. Public comment for 1 minute from non-residents. Public comment from non-residents for 1 minute. Public comment for 1 minute from non-residents. Okay. Hearing no further speakers, I move that we adjourn the public hearing section of the meeting. Is there a second? Motion by Fowler, second by Dan. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Thank you all for your comments. We are now on item 7 of the agenda. And let me first start by saying to my fellow board members, let's not make any motions until we have some discussion. Okay, I don't want to rush with this silly process of voting down a motion. I want to discuss this. And if I can start, I know this field will be used for football, so I'm going to use a little bit of football analogy around the field. Every time I watch an NFL game, the longest part of the game is the last 4 minutes, right? You've got instant replay on critical plays. You've got timeouts, because every team needs to take their timeouts and stop the clock. It is the longest part, is the last part of the football game. And I want to say that that's a little bit apt to where we're at now. I too want this result. But it's important, just as it is in the last 2 minutes of a football game, to do instant replay and get the call right. Okay? And that's my intent here. So I understand to you boosters who have volunteered and have put a lot of effort into this project, I hear you. But I also want you to understand that we as public officials have an obligation to follow our town rules and to do what's right for the entire community. And that means we can't skip steps. Okay? You know, from my perspective, the solution that extended your process was when we came up with this new district. Yeah, that extended things, but did it make some people satisfied that we went a different direction? Yes. So we're here in the last 2 minutes of the football game. And I guess I would just ask the boosters to understand we have to get this right. I agree with everybody who's commented that this would be an important thing for our community. I feel like it will be a showcase. And I've said that to Dave. That's why it bothered me when Excel wanted to put a substation right next to it, right? I mean, you're going to build this beautiful thing and then you're going to have electric right next to it? It'll look like crap. So, look, I get it, is all I'm saying. But I have a couple of concerns. And I talked to Dave about those concerns. And I said to Dave that there will be some things that I will need to see before I'm comfortable voting for this. And one of them was to extend the parking by 90 to 100 stalls by adding gravel. You know, one thing I wanted to talk in particular about Mr. Johnson's point, just spoke about, you know, Grandview. I drive by that every Saturday, and I always see people parked on the shoulder, whether that's varsity games or not, because I paid attention to what was said when I was looking. Every single tournament this year, there's been parking on that grass in the ditch. And look, from my perspective, I don't want to see that, because this isn't a two-lane road, like Mr. Johnson said. This is a highway, and it can be dangerous. So that's why I was so insistent on that gravel parking. So I want to make that as one of the conditions to vote to approve this project, is that your plan needs to be adjusted for that. And to Mr. O'Brien and the Boosters' credit, they came back within 24 hours with the new map, which I appreciate. But this process, see, it takes that back and forth. So for everybody who's maybe feeling a little impatient, look, I want to get it right. And my biggest concern with the whole project is parking. And that seems to me to be satisfied with the gravel lot. And I just want to tell my fellow board members, that's my biggest priority is, you know, do we have enough parking so that we don't have pedestrian traffic? Because pedestrian traffic can't happen here, right? It's on Highway 12. Can't have spill over the neighborhoods. However, I do have to point out a couple things. Bear with me. All right. So we have here this black and white. We have much better copies right now. We have here this Lot 1. The gentleman owns. And in the drawing submitted to us, there's a cul-de-sac. There is this proposed public access. So I went and I said, what do the Boosters actually have? So I looked at the survey map for Lot 1, and I don't know if you all know this, but I'm a lawyer, not the town's lawyer, but fairly familiar with looking at the documents. So when I looked at the easements that it's recorded, this is what it says. The text of this says, said access easement shall allow for a road up to 66 feet in width. When I saw that, I was actually excited because that would alleviate some of our concerns that this would be up to town standards, because town standards is 66 feet. But here's the problem. Whoever drafted this, in their exhibit that was filed, says 50 feet all throughout this. And without getting into what I talked to our town's attorney about, I said, what do the Boosters have? What is the access easement that they have? The answer is, we don't know, because it's ambiguous. So one of the conditions that I'm going to now ask is that the Boosters and the owner of Lot 1 come to an agreement as to what you have. It should be fairly easy to do. My vote is still yes for the project as a whole, but it is a condition that I'm going to be voting for and asking to be required. And here's why it's important, folks. In my mind, whoever made the comment about what would you do if a commercial development was here, of course we would want to know what do they own, what access easement do they actually have, right? So we have to treat the Boosters fairly, but we have to treat the Boosters consistent with how we would treat anybody else applying for things that affect our community, which means you got to follow our code. And our process for a developer, well, of course we would require knowing precisely what legal rights you would have to access the property. Now, again, hear me very clearly. I'm in support of making this a condition. I'm not trying to torpedo this project by any means. But this is a legal problem that you guys have to figure out. And it's incumbent upon you as the applicant, not us as the town. Now, to that end, Mr. Waldschmidt, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I have some questions for you. Would you mind joining us? Thank you very, very much for being here. It is so nice to see you here as somebody who is obviously affected by this and has a say, right? So I guess my question, I don't know if you see the TV that close or not, but you see my discrepancy that I found here. It says 66 feet in the document, and the map says 50. Are you willing to work with the Boosters to grant them access that would encompass the 66-foot easement?
Yes.
Second question, on the map, there is a roundabout, which easement document says nothing about. Would you be willing to work with the boosters to grant a roundabout easement as well?
Those are conceptual drawings, nothing in stone there. And it's, yes, I'm willing to work with the boosters on what the final layout will look like.
I guess here's why I'm concerned about it. If eventually, if the boosters decide that they're going to shut off the lights and be closed over the winter, and there's a fire that happens, we want to make sure an emergency vehicle can get turned around. And that's why their proposal for an easement to me made a lot of sense. Made a lot of sense because that could accomplish that, right? And it makes sense that it's right outside their gate. I guess the real question is, are you committed to working with the boosters and the town to come up with a good solution that won't impact you too much, but you're willing to grant clearly to the boosters in writing at a later date?
Yes.
That definitely alleviates a lot of my concerns. Thank you for being here. Did any of the board members have questions for Ms. Lenz here?
I do, yeah. Just to be clear, I think what we're talking about here is the cul-de-sac at the end.
That is my drawing.
Okay.
That how I was gonna develop that piece of land.
Okay.
And so I was putting a cul-de-sac there because I don't know what the boosters were doing. If we are going to develop together, then there won't be a cul-de-sac. There would be a through road to access the boosters.
Okay, the only thing that, comment I had was if you're doing, what we require, for example, on a cul-de-sac in a commercial industrial area is, we have a Hermes Road, which has to be 80 feet across so that a semi can turn around in it.
Yep.
Or, and so that's part of what we would need is that kind of thing. I think the other thing is that the easement, the way I read it, it talks about, 225 feet, from the road or whatever is the maximum. And that's not the same as where the road is that you're drew on the map here. So in other words, the easement legally is not describing the same location as, what's being proposed here. So that has to be healed. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so that has to be corrected. Maybe I could just step back just a moment and talk a little bit about the history, because when this was proposed to us earlier this year, what happened was we had a exception that was based in a residential area, and the boosters wanted a change that would allow for lighting, sound, etc. And the initial thought by some parties was that we would just modify our residential exception to accommodate the booster type situation. We had a lot of feedback. You remember the first hearing on this, we heard a lot of neighbors saying they don't want this. They don't want this in their backyard because they're thinking of this part here, they're thinking of on UU, the soccer fields and so forth. So, places that are tucked into residential areas. So what we did is we, having a plan already that there would be a commercial area along 12, we designed a special exception area, for recreational activity. And then we had a second hearing on that to adopt that, which we did. And by the way, that was that description was made almost as a custom thing for the boosters. What we did is we got feedback from the boosters in order to determine what would work. So what we're really saying here is that we want to see the boosters succeed and do this thing. Here is how it works. And what we did is we made it viable and functional for what the boosters are looking for. Now, that said, there is a number of things that have to be addressed in regard to the road and what we're talking about here, the cul-de-sac sizing, the entire road sizing, the legal descriptions and so forth. All of that stuff has to be in the application that has to come in here. And so what happens is it's hard, we can't really give an okay on this based upon promises and so forth. We're 100% behind the concept, and we've already said that. And so you don't need to convince us at all, I'm speaking to the boosters here, that this is a great project. I think everyone here has already expressed that we would like to see this happen. But what happens is that now we're bound by our requirements of the ordinances as far as how the material looks like when we review it. And frankly, you're not served well when you don't come in with, corrected legal descriptions, commitments, and that sort of thing, in terms of the project. And what we require, for example, when we do, somebody does a development and puts in a road, what we do is we require a letter of credit to basically make sure that after that road is initially put in, that there'll be money there to put in the blacktop and finish that road up, so that it's not left there half done, for 10, 20 years or something like that. These are just important things, and so you have to be part of that, because we're asking you to essentially now work on upgrading that road with these guys, and then ceding it over to the town as a public road. And we know that you want to do that, but all of that has to be in writing and commitments and that sort of thing, and exactly how it works has to be worked out. And I would just say for the boosters, guys, you might not have. I've been in a nonprofit situation before where I've had to pledge my personal assets to make sure something was done. You can do the same thing. You can basically say, we are pledging our personal assets behind the completion of the blacktopping in this road, to have it done. And that's just a normal requirement. So folks, we want to help you do it, and we'd like to see you do it, but we can't just do it on a promise. Does that make sense?
What you just explained is exactly what the boosters want.
Yes, I know, and I know
So
you guys
come
want
to a
to.
written agreement is going to be quick and easy.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I think if what you want tonight is you want the board to say, hey, we're all for this thing in concept, I think we can do that. If you're asking us to approve, a project, that's a different thing. Does that make sense? Because to approve the project, myself, I just don't feel like, we have to have the I's dotted and the T's crossed, at that point.
Well, if I can add one thing to what you're saying here. Everything you're saying is correct, with one exception. We can make a conditional approval. So we can say with specificity, and I've already asked our lawyer to start a draft, okay? And, for example, you all indicated to the clerk what your conditions would be, right? We can, and what I'm proposing right now is that we come back in 2 weeks with our final list of conditions, because they do need to move forward, or they need to be done, And I sense their frustration. I didn't even hear one person say I'm against this. I heard people saying, do it right? So all I'm saying is, I don't think anybody's in disagreement that this is a project that should go forward. So, and I mean that from the public and, landowners nearby, everything. But we could say, for example, You know, your special exception permit is conditioned on 2 gravel lots with 90 to 100 parking plus or minus 10%. We can say your access needs to be worked out with the neighboring property owners in writing, filed properly with the county. You know, we can make the approval conditioned on the things that we're requiring from them. And I think that they want closure on this so that they can fundraise. I mean, that's really what they're asking for. I want this off my plate because we have other things to do as a town. And so what I'm suggesting is that we create a document, we share it with Dave O'Brien with our proposed exceptions in advance of 2 weeks from now, and we take an up or down vote based on those conditions. And I'll tell you what mine are, for example. I'll just be completely transparent. I have no problem sharing with you right now. Mine are...
Would you still like to stand here, sir?
No, you can say that. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you. Hang on, I'll leave it here. Because I think as long as we're here discussing it, we might as well share it with them. What my things are, again, that parking one is one. I want signage at the front of the facility that basically says no neighborhood parking, no pedestrian, please park for your game only, things of that nature. You know, something that is tailored to solve the problem we're concerned with, right? And I've already discussed these with Mr. O'Brien. These are not, you know, impossible things to do. When they send notices for their tournaments, to have that same language included on the notices so that people from out of town know that they can't park in the neighborhood. You know, these are things that are narrowly tailored towards that end. So I guess what I'm leaning towards is we compile this list, share it with Mr. O'Brien, call a special meeting to vote on our proposed exceptions. We can do them one by one if you want.
I'm very concerned about making sure that we do have public road 66 foot wide, and because the certified survey map that's recorded, this is what I wrote, does not reflect the needed requirement. Also, there's no paperwork between Mr. Walshman and the boosters on the exact location of the needed public road between lot 1 and outlot 1. There needs to be a 3-party agreement between the town, Mr. Walshman, and the boosters for the access road. Just like any other development, there needs to be a developer's agreement, also with a required bond or letter of credit to build such a road. The road is a dead stop. It's part of our ordinance. You have to have access to a public road. So until that's clear, we can move forward after that. But that is a primary, is to have that access to a public road. And that can't be done without Mr. Walshman. That can't be done. Because this certificate was done in 2011. This doesn't, it doesn't work. And this was on your own, when you show everybody up on the screen, it doesn't work. So this has to be done.
Yes, sir.
Can you clarify if the town attorney has indicated that what Susan just described could be a condition, or does that need to be placed before the condition?
Excellent question, Dave. You're soft-spoken, so I'm going to repeat your question. He's asking if the town's attorney has indicated that it can be done by condition, or does it have to be done in advance? He's indicated it can be done by condition. And that's why I'm proposing we put these conditions in writing, we share it with the boosters, and we vote on it. And in other words, what the condition means is if they don't have exactly what you said, Susan, they can't go forward with the project because they don't meet the conditions. And by this framework, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. O'Brien, but if we have the special exception with these conditions in place, you'll be able to start fundraising in earnest. Is that right? And that's why I started this with the analogy of the longest 2 minutes. We need to get this last 2 minutes right, okay? And that's why I'm suggesting we call a special meeting in 2 weeks. We get our attorney's already started the draft, okay? And what I didn't know was what your thoughts would be. That's why we have meetings, right? So the idea that I can quickly insert those into those documents tonight is not realistic, right? I mean, not trying to delay it. You understand that's why we need to come back. It's because what these members' concerns are, they want to feel good voting for it. They want to make sure that that's in the list of the conditions. Mr. Bartzell, it sounded like you wanted to say something.
No, that question I think was for you, Steve. I also completely support going forward with this. It's clear that the residents of this town want this for the most part, and therefore we should support it. But again, like everybody has said, it simply has to be done correctly.
I would make a motion that we convene a meeting, special meeting, not this coming up Wednesday, but the Wednesday following. Let me double check my calendar, make sure I'm doing this right. I can do the 21st Tuesday, or I can do the 22nd. Strike the idea of the motion. Let's withdraw that. Let's just keep discussing. Which works better, Tuesday the 21st or Wednesday the 22nd?
I can't do the 21st. The 22nd works better for me.
Thank you, Rachel.
Wednesday the 22nd.
All right. Then I move that we consult with our town's attorney to come up with the list of conditions that would be necessary before we grant the special exception permit for a final vote to grant or deny the special exception permit on the 22nd after a meeting with discussion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Fowler, second by Bartzell. Any discussion?
What time?
Usual meeting time, 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote, please, Mr. Clerk.
Supervisor Fowler. I'm sorry, Supervisor Hudson.
Yes.
Supervisor Blank.
Yes.
Supervisor Lang.
Yes.
Supervisor Bartzell.
Yes.
Chairman Fowler.
Yes. Motion carries unanimously 5-0. So that concludes the item on this. I will say thank you again to everybody who keeps coming out. I think we're at now 30 seconds left in the game. We just need a field goal. All right. So I would like to take a 5-minute break. Is there any objection from the board members? Hearing none, we're going to take a 5-minute break. Rachel, are you still on Zoom? Rachel, are you still on Zoom? Thank you. All right, all board members are back in attendance. Time is 7:49. I would like to move a couple items out of order because we have people here for them and they've requested to be heard. I'd like to go to item 15, discussion action on lowering the speed limit from 35 to 25 miles an hour in the Edgewood development. That is tab 15. Is there anybody here from that request? Please come forward.
I'm Carolyn Rodriguez. Do I have to do the whole thing before?
If you could spell your last name for the clerk and then tell us your address.
Yes, Rodriguez, E-A-U-D-R-Y, 1076 Lockwood Drive. And I'm here to request to lower the speed limit in our development from 35 miles per hour down to 25 miles per hour. The development that's connected to us that is newer is 25 miles per hour, so it makes sense to have the same or similar speed limits there. Unfortunately, a lot of people use our development as a throughway to speed because it is a higher speed limit, which presents safety issues for all the kids.
Any board members have questions for Ms. Baldry?
Can you first of all describe the entire boundaries of Edgewood subdivision?
And so, I guess I don't know what the boundary is, but it's the first development if you're going on 35 north. It's the first development north of North Hudson. So the development that we're connected to, so the development that we're connected to is technically North Hudson. It connected us without our consent. Our traffic has increased dramatically. The higher speed limit.
Yeah, I'm going to that area too. Yeah. Do we have a motion?
Can I say something as well?
Sure.
Yeah, we have neighbors as well.
So our neighborhood, when I moved in 2017, was completely closed. There was no outlet. My house and Carolyn's house, both Carolyn and lived next door to each other. Her house is on the border. We went to our neighborhood and you drive down Edgewood. In order to get to her house, you make a left turn right at her house. She has 3 small children, and people drive up and down Edgewood with a speed limit of 35, well over 35 in a residential neighborhood. And now when Edgewood take a right, you turn on Cottonwood, which is the road that we live on. Follow it all the way up to what used to be a cul-de-sac is now open to a neighborhood that's technically in North Hudson. The folks that live in the upper area of that neighborhood use our neighborhood as the quickest route to get out of their neighborhood to access 35. They go flying down our road, which used to be a closed access. We had no traffic, it was blissful, and now people just fly around our neighborhood. And it also used to be a neighborhood that was primarily people that previously had kids, their kids grew up, they moved out, now it's older folks, and now we have all of these young families moving in, and there's kids everywhere. We have potholes all over the roads because there's more traffic from people who live in North Hudson and pay taxes in Hudson Township on the roads that are being destroyed.
Can I ask you to spell your last name?
Yes, Lammers, Lammers, and I'm at 1064 Cottonwood. Right next door to the Fairwood 1076.
Anybody else want to speak to this issue? If you could state and spell your name correctly.
So Matt is working. It's Gianfort. I live at 284 Edgewood Drive. I'm actually on the corner of 35 and so I see firsthand cars not only within our development, but coming into our development off of 35. As they turn in, they just speed up and flying on the road. When my friend was there in 2003, we understood that our 35 is fast, dangerous, but we didn't anticipate cars going out to be going just as fast and fast. We now have a home level. I now see things a little bit different, right? Where it's as a result, I noticed that I was raising a kid to be see a little bit different now. So, fully supportive of adjusting the speed limit because
Thank you. Any further questions of the speakers? Hearing none, we have a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the change to reduce the speed limit from 35 miles per hour to 25 miles per hour in the Edgewood development.
Discussion.
Yeah, I'd like to second it too, but I have a concern that I just want to make sure that, because there are other municipalities involved there and stuff like that, I'm not sure, that we have, we can do it entirely on our own. So I just want to, I think what I would like to say is we're doing everything we can to make those adjustments, exploring, what is necessary to make those adjustments from 35 to 25.
Also, in order to reduce the speed zone, maybe I'm misinformed, but I thought there has to be a traffic study.
We asked for a traffic study.
That we can't just do it without a traffic study.
Okay.
So therefore,
I think we can go, I think we can if it's within 10 miles an hour. I don't think we need a traffic study. I could be wrong, but that's my
In
understanding.
reality, who's going to sue us? Right? I mean, I think we do.
The people that are further in that want to be able to drive faster.
Yeah, but they don't live in the township. What I'm hearing is that a lot of the traffic is coming from a different municipality.
It does also come up from higher up in our own neighborhood, down Edgewood directly. So if I say I'm leaving my neighborhood and I have to take a left off of Cottonwood Drive to Edgewood, and I have to look to my right to make sure no one's coming, a lot of times the people who live on that corner, they don't necessarily cut their grass or weeds back. All of a sudden you're pitching out and somebody, you didn't think anyone was there, and all of a sudden, boom, somebody's there and you can't make a left turn to get out of the neighborhood. I mean, they just,
That's why 16.
That's why 16 is on the agenda next.
Correct.
it's a residential neighborhood. Like, almost the entire township of Hudson is 25 miles an hour, and my neighborhood is 35? Like, it just doesn't make sense.
I would ask that we amend it to say that we will investigate what is necessary to move the speed limit from 35 miles per hour to 25 miles per hour.
Can I add one further change?
Yes,
This is your amendment. You want to be in charge of investigating it?
I will.
Thank you. All right. Any further discussion?
I had trouble hearing you. Could you repeat your amendment, please?
Dan would like you to accept an amendment to your motion to say, to investigate whether we can reduce the speed limit to 25 miles an hour under our ordinances, and that Dan will be the one to investigate that and report back to us at the next meeting.
Thank you.
Do you accept that amendment, Rachel?
I accept that amendment.
Very well, then we have a second. Any further discussion?
What would be the timeline on that then?
Our next meeting will be in March.
So. And can the decision be made without us being present?
Yes.
And we do videotape these two different ways now, so you'll be able to find out.
Okay.
All right, so hearing no further discussion, all those in favor of the amended motion by Rachel, seconded by me, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0. Number 16.
Where are we at on the agenda, please?
Number 16.
You skipped several items.
I know we did,
I missed the reason why.
because we had somebody present for those who requested it, and I granted said request.
Wow. Cool.
All right, number 16. Discussion action on adding a three-way stop to the intersection of Edgewood and Cottonwood Drive. Now, it seems to me that this might also alleviate the speeding traffic if you have a three-way stop at that intersection. Is that fair to say?
It would certainly help. Yeah, I think that two of them together would bring a lot more safety to our neighborhood. And as I said before, as my neighbor said, there's a lot of children in our neighborhood, and it's really concerning the speed that these cars are driving, whether they're from our neighborhood or not. Having the stop sign would help. I think people coming off of 35 wouldn't immediately cars coming. So that would also help. So those two combined, I think, would really help the safety in our neighborhood.
Is this intersection, is any part of that street in North Hudson? Or is it all in our township?
It's our contract. And again, sorry, with reference to 15, it's just our township as well.
Do I have motions?
I would move that, that's another one where I think we have to make a little input, I think this will probably do. So I'll just move right ahead. So why don't we, I'll make a motion that we do make the three-way stop.
I'll second that.
Motion by Foster, second by Blank. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion by Mr. Foster Lane, signify by saying aye. 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 Motion carries 5-0. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Now,
Thank you so much.
back to the agenda, number 7, discussion action on boosters, number 8. My apologies, number 8, discussion action on status of boosters request for funding assistance in ball field maintenance at Town Hall Park. I'm not sure who had this, I thought we already did going no. Yeah. We gave approval if they wanted to fund it, but I believe we didn't make any motion to fund it, so
We would look at it also in our next budget session too, for next year, but at this point, no.
having heard no motion to approve funds, we will move on to discussion action on Willow River site plan. Willow River site plan, Mr. White. I received a communication from Mr. White indicating some concerns with the site plan for Willow River's greenhouse. Is there anybody here from Willow River? Would you two gentlemen come up, please? All right. So we received a couple letters indicating some concerns with your greenhouse plan after the planning commission. I would be completely candid with you. I live in your neighborhood. I live off of Walker Farm, so I'm pretty darn familiar with your guys' business. This is the sense that I get. I get the sense that everybody likes what you're doing. They think you're great people. They're concerned about it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And the one thing that I think was brought to attention was, there was a agreement, May 19, 2021, that, would kind of set your special or your conditional use permit. And you were on the board, Susan, you were on the board this time, I'm sure you remember this well. I personally believe the greenhouse is agricultural in nature. There's not a whole lot we should do about it because it's allowed here. On the other hand, I think that the neighbors are concerned with the lighting, the noise, the traffic. I know I personally am concerned that you're not using just the north entrance. Please don't tell me you're not, because we just chip sealed that road, and there's a giant set of tracks coming from the south on that new road. I see every day I go to work, I see your trucks using the south entrance. So my biggest concern is I would like you to abide by the agreement of 2021, that you start using the northern entrance exclusively for your fleet, all vehicles. I know that your customers are going to come to your customary south entrance, but I would say it's almost every day I see bigger trucks that use the south. So we just chip sealed that road, we just rebuilt that road, and you guys have electrics. So I guess my question to you guys is, are you going to be able to talk to your employees so that it stops happening?
Yeah. Isn't what's stated in that conditional use?
Yeah, I can put it up here if you want.
act was that you accepted that condition to only use that. And so we want to work with you here, but this has to come to an end. And I don't care if we don't care if it's your trucks and delivery, but you have to get the word across that they are not to use that south access. And I personally think you might need to put a larger sign at the end of your road that says, when they leave you, absolutely no truck traffic to the south, so that people get it. And
First of all,
that's a big complaint, and when we hear it from the community that this is not being done, we have to do something about it.
yeah, absolutely. Does it actually state in the special, in the?
I got it up for you.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I'll like point to it. Dust mitigation and control of the first driveway of the south Highway 12 that is used as the primary and only truck commercial entrance.
Sure. Yeah, I can't say it, but I'm not to this group, yes, there's for sure great trucks that go south of Philly, but we're above 98% anything other than a pickup. I'll say big trucks. It's always going north. So
What about people that are just delivering to you that are not your trucks?
what? Susan, we can't control that.
Yes, yes, you
Actually,
can.
you can.
Yes, you can.
Again, you can put signage up that says, deliveries use other entrance.
We have that, but you can't call GPS and FedEx and say, hey guys, you have to access us from Highway 12.
I know my UPS driver, I can tell him special instructions.
Yeah, they go to your house and deliver, and then they're coming to us next, they're gonna be coming down Highway 12.
So you don't have any semi-trucks or anything that are making deliveries?
Semi-trucks are not allowed on that, so they're absolutely going. They're absolutely, it is, like I said, we're 98%, I mean, we talk to guys all the time, and believe me, we're making an effort, and all, Greg's acknowledged a great decrease in our traffic going south, and anything, like I said, other than a half-ton pickup, I mean, I don't know the last time I saw something with a trailer going south, or I can't track trucks like pulled up. Yeah, I mean, and we are absolutely making an effort. And we have a big sign that says left turn only. Like remind once a month at our all-employee chat, reminder, fellas, left turn only, upright driveway, right? Yeah, but to say it's going to be 100%, I don't know if that's feasible, honestly. But yes, all big trucks and all major, and they made Badlands on Class 1 roads, so you can't have big trucks. So it's everything, all big trucks, all commercial size vehicles are all going.
I am probably the biggest pro-business advocate. I have a business in that neighborhood too. I've been asked to limit my parking. I've been asked to limit my traffic, and I do so. And you have a written agreement here that says you have to. And I guess what I'm saying is you got to.
For sure. And we absolutely.
All it will take is one neighbor putting up a video camera to see your trucks going down Kelly from that south entrance and back here again. And I mean, it's not difficult. In this day and age, it's easy, right? So I guess there was objections to your greenhouse. Again, my position is it's agricultural. You're not my blessing because it's allowed. And I'm happy to see agricultural uses in our town. But the heavy stuff, the rocks and stuff, that's why you have this agreement. And it is germane, as Susan pointed out, to be talking about this as a package. We made you aware of it in the demos, right? If it were me, I would change your signage to that south entrance and make it a little more conspicuous. It's pretty small lettering.
I know every time we put signs up, we yell that too. And every time we try something, I say, hey, you can't have a sign. You don't have a sign this big. Say, okay, what is it? We have a sign or we not have a sign?
Well,
we turn left, we're not doing it. You know what I mean? Like, you can't win.
Exactly. And to be fair, you have more signage than any other business say, hey, look, we're gonna get in trouble if we don't start using that road entrance. I appreciate it, guys, thanks for coming again. Everybody wishes you well. Glad
Hey, we're not trying, we're not killing people, right? We're not trying to fluctuate to,
No, but
we're trying to be good neighbors.
you aren't always aware. We're trying to let you know that there has been.
I know, I talked to Greg, Greg complimented us on not seeing our trucks. So I mean, like, so I'm getting it from both sides. I hear from one neighbor that, it's awesome, you guys don't see your guys' trucks anymore, it's fantastic, and then you hear from another neighbor who's using trucks. It's like, well, what is it? I know Greg spends half his day outside, so I can understand what Greg is, right? So, and he said we're doing a great job. So he's an honor, put it inside it, right? So, but yeah, we'll remind for sure. We'll make a bigger sign.
And if it's your vendors, you can put up a trail cam and you can say, hey, we caught you.
Yeah. I mean, anyone using that road is going to be it's going to be UPS, FedEx, whatever it is, and they're going to the next stop. It's probably, I mean, it's, you know what I mean? Any big trucks have to come from the north, and they do. We don't have anything, honestly, other than like a UPS truck that will come over that way right now. We're not going to reroute that. It will not reroute the routes based on what we request. We constantly talk to them, and we do, and we talk to our employees constantly, but, yeah.
Well, all right, I think we can do it worse. Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
Anybody else have any comment about this item? All right.
Excuse me?
I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time hearing you.
Okay, yeah, I wanted to comment. Okay, so the other thing I just wanted to say is that, this is a residential area. Landscaping is approved. Your company is grown. You're growing into a construction company. That's really a commercial type of situation. And if you were a commercial operation and you were being approved, we would be talking about burns and lighting control and all that kind of stuff. Just ask that, you just have to call that also into account. Because, you are basically, encroaching upon a residential neighborhood. And, I think like Mr. Fowler said, we appreciate, your business and being there and everything like that. But, we just ask that you be sensitive on some of those other areas also.
Any further comment about Little River site plan? No? Okay.
We have a comment right here. Raise your hand.
Thank you. I'm Jill Brew. I am from River South. My husband Mark and I live at 838 County Road. So we're neighbors to Little River. We love Little River Tree Farm, the shipping family. They do not live there. They do not see the things that we see. We are often in text communication with them regarding these things, and the traffic is an issue. And so I have two questions. One of the board, which is to say, when you make exceptions, just generically speaking, for whatever, boosters, the Little River Tree Farm, what kinds of things are in place to enforce? So if things do go wrong, so we do have traffic that goes south, and there are large trucks, how do you enforce that? How do we enforce it? I mean, we contact insurance, but they're typically not there. How do we enforce with that, and what are the...
Well, I think anytime you have a problem with business or zoning, dispute, whatever, you contact the board. This is our first step, as we know.
Okay.
And hopefully it solves a problem for traffic on the north south. If it's repeated, we get complaints, it'll be come down. But that's not something that, it's an incremental approach, it's not like something we're going to go to that extreme per se without doing some.
Okay, but it comes from the town board.
Correct.
Okay.
Because this is not, we don't have county zoning, it's our zoning. So any enforcement action would have to come from us.
Okay.
But, again, this is the first step in the process, we just notify them.
Okay. And then the other concern that I have, because the business has grown and they are so extremely successful, and we want that, it has, the building that has gone on there is a lot, and so the building that they're asking for, the greenhouse, we talked to them on the planning committee, and that seemed to be a successful conversation around running to the south, so that we would not necessarily have to see their current operation what goes on there after hours. I mean, their lights are on in their shop. And again, that's after operational hours. So it's things like that that do affect our residents. And while the burning will help, again, those are things that I just want to comment to the board so that these are all things that I don't know if you have things in place that are, when we make special exceptions, are there things in place that can help curb that so that
The first step is we have to know. So, we hear about it, it's not complaint-based zoning by any means, but we hear of a problem, and we'll go from there. So, anything else you want to say on Lower?
I don't think so. So the greenhouse is going to go move forward, and is that set? I mean, is
The planning commission approved as long as the building is 100 feet from residential. And it was their recommendation. We have, that we can go forward with this as long as that building is 100 feet from the residential property.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Scheduled budget working session, item 10 on the agenda. So we obviously need to schedule some working sessions because we need to come up with a budget fairly quickly. John, our treasurer, is scheduled to start on Tuesday of next week. So obviously we'd like to have the treasurer involved in our budget discussion.
Add to our Wednesday, it's the 22nd meeting, I think that also a budget meeting. Or a budget workshop. And it started earlier.
Well, you know what, I think we probably will have 3 things on the agenda. We'll have the boosters, we'll have the Excel zoning, and then the workshop. So do you want to start earlier? Because we'll start as early as 5.
That's fine with me.
I'm confused. We don't have to move forward with this.
I didn't get a recommendation from, so you know more about this than I do, Susan, because I didn't get a report from the.
You didn't get the minutes from.
That's why I didn't make a motion. I have no idea. You know that it's approved, but we're recommended.
There should have been minutes in front of the Little River. I believe those minutes were.
I didn't see planning commission.
Should have been minutes.
The application. I mean, how come they didn't other minutes of it? It's just that. So without minutes from the planning commission, we don't have Senator Brooke.
Will you guys all check to make sure your microphones are still on?
They say we just waited 2 hours for all that stuff.
Well, hold on. Hold on. I don't know why it wasn't in line. I don't see it. Well, I do have minutes. I do have minutes. I will put them up here so we can see them. My apologies. So, Move to recommend the town board to approve site plan for a proposed greenhouse for Willow River Company at 850 Kelly Road, contingent on the building meeting the 100-foot interior lot line setback required and placing fans on the north or west wall to mitigate noise as best they can. Second by Milbrand. Motion unanimously carried. So now that we do have the minutes, thank you for pointing that out, Susan. Is there a motion?
Yeah, I move to, I'll let you make the motion. I move that we accept the Willow River site plan
As recommended.
as recommended by our planning commission.
I will second that. Motion by Susan, second by Fowler. Any discussion?
So do we have any berming in general for Willow River towards the residential area?
I can assure you that there's a berm on the facing eastbound.
There was discussion at the planning commission that is ag residential to ag residential. There was discussion and there was acceptance, which could also be written into there, that Willow River agreed to put trees to help to make a berm. But that was an agreement between the two. If you want to put that in there as to make sure that it's written, that was agreed upon, we can do that in the motion.
Can I ask Willow River to come up here for a second? Let me just try to be direct here. Are you guys in objection to putting up a berm?
No. Well, verb would be tough. We talk about maturity, so which we're totally fine with. The issue we have is we don't have any space on our property, so I talked to the Roos at the last meeting. Like, yeah, you for sure plant trees on our property. That needs there right now, so we're going to need it done. We're already planting plenty of trees there anyways. Planning Commission mentioned that they couldn't require that. I think you're working on to require that.
Well, the planning commission is all correct.
Yeah, but either way, we'll do it either way. I don't really care if we're in there. We're good to do it.
You just have to have that property.
Yeah.
Our driveway's right up.
So a berm, so you don't have enough space to put a berm solely on your property? But you have an agreement that, pardon me for a second,
Yes.
you have an agreement that the trees will be sufficient?
Can we approach up there, please?
Yeah.
Yeah, at the planning commission, we realized that we need a berm, and we're talking about it. And they don't have room on their side, because we're through row, put a row of trees in there, and said, put a row of trees on our side of the property, and that'd be fine with us.
So probably is more than that.
Yeah, come on.
You know a guy.
Yeah, we will find it.
So like evergreens or something, or?
And then I made a comment earlier about that, and she was there too, about enforcing code, it's just like, I mean, I'm around
I'm just going to text you.
Yeah.
Actually, our only issue is if you were no longer the owners.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so it sounds like the original motion will suffice.
Yeah, I think so. I just want to point out again, because the question was asked as far as how do we make sure this stuff happens and so forth. And again, this was a commercial operation, if it was a construction operation that came to us in a commercial zone, there would be requirements like, for example, when the trash has to be hidden, there's got to be an enclosed area and stuff like that. So I just, what you've done is you've grown, into this kind of thing where in one sense there's a little bit of a grandfathering, or whatever you want to call it. But anyways, is that, the planning commission, or we, could have said, you're not allowed to put in a greenhouse because of the fact that, you morphed, okay? And now you need to either be zoned commercial or, we just can't make anything happen. So I think that just keep that in mind, work with your neighbors, get everything straightened out as much as possible, and I think that's the key.
Yeah. All right, any further discussion? Mr. Clerk, do you have the movers and the seconders, okay?
Yes, I believe so. Motion by Plank to accept the plan as recommended by the Planning Commission, seconded by Foster. I think he's abstract.
Well,
Foster.
second, great, you're the boss. Okay, so then, all those in favor of said motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
All right, thanks for catching that, Susan. I apologize. Scheduled budget working sessions. So we've already agreed that we're going to do 22nd.
We have
I think that there is a timetable in November.
we have to look at the meeting, all the meetings are approved by.
In November.
And at the 22nd meeting, if we feel we need another workshop, we can set one for the next week or so. This is the hard part, is we may have to show up for some extra meetings. So, I don't know that we need a motion for this, but we're just going to schedule a budget workshop for the 22nd. We'll probably start the entire meeting at 5 rather than 6. I do think we need to have Excel and boosters and then the workshop. Probably that. But anyway, I can call that at any point. That's understanding then, is that we're going to have that meeting. All right.
That's the first budget meeting.
Correct. And then we're going to set a second one once we get there. Okay? Any objections to any of that? Okay, great. Okay. Number 11, discussion actions. Joe Simon's request to pause and modify Fire Department Bill 61325 for damage claim. Hello, sir. Thank you for waiting.
How are you doing?
Great.
Do we need my name and address to start out?
You're already on the agenda, so you're good.
Okay, a little background. On the 13th of June, we had a park call. And during the park call, it was discovered that the call was unnecessary. But as fire trucks were leaving, they backed off my driveway. And the ensuing record call and the removal of the truck from my property, the discussions with the chief and with the record company. The record company is going to come back and mitigate the damage to my property. The chief had mentioned in several discussions that I'm going to use a quote that, of course, is my context, that he would take care of everything, make this all right. He mentioned that he would call the town, and I don't know why he didn't explain why. I was assuming he was going to somehow mitigate the bill. But it came to some dissatisfaction with what occurred afterwards. So I submitted to the chief several bids to fix my property. It came to about $1,500. And subsequently, we kind of lost contact. You know, he did call the clerk's office early, and that was during the transition period, so I think that call was either lost or not. I know he's been in contact since. I talked to him today. He said that the insurance claim has been made by the city, and that got dropped originally, so it's not
waste for $270. And since then, I was assuming that she could either call mitigate that, we didn't have any other contact. And subsequently, I was waiting for contact with the chief on either that or the insurance bill. And I was waiting to pay this with the insurance settlement that went paid. I received since one or two other invoices with extra charges for insurance. What I'm asking for is that, since I'm dealing with the chief, I had called on her. I was hoping to convince the board to either forgive the total bill or at least pause and then forgive those carrying charges and service charges until which time I can pay them. That's what I'm asking.
All right, any questions, gentlemen?
So you moved on to the 275 plus service charges.
I was billed originally $275 in my own service charge at that time, and there was service charges added. And I was still waiting, I was in contact with the clerk's office, but again, in transition, there was no answer from the clerk's office. I was under the understanding through the chief that he was mitigating this, and subsequently, I think that he was not mitigating it. It was something he could do. Talking to him today, I actually had contact with him today. And he said these things for the insurance purposes we're going forward and that some of the other things he's trying to get. So I'm just asking that if at some point we can't forgive the bill totally, and at least pause the charges or and to forgive the charges on payment.
I have an observation. My observation would be, given the timing of this and when the bill happened, and clerks were in the process of anything, I don't think we could conscious charge these additional fees.
I made a motion to pause or eliminate all service charges for 60 days, 60 additional days. So it would take us out to 12/1. So if it's paid by 12/1, there's no charges, no service charges.
Thank you very much.
Second. All right, we should, second by Barzal. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion by Foster and seconded by Barzal, signify by saying aye. 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 Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, sir, for waiting. Thank you. Number 12, cost estimate for the repair of concession building in Town Hall Park. Susan.
Everybody should have received in your packet, there was 2 estimates for repair of the roof in our parks building. So I had asked for 3, but I only got back 2. But because they're estimates and they're below the 5,000, we can go forward and approve or not approve with one of the companies that has made an estimate.
Sorry, Susan, can you explain the below 5,000 comment?
We have to take bids once a project is over $5,000.
Thank you.
Is there anything to add on this point?
There would be, if we would choose one of the 2 companies, we could approve to have the project done. The funds would come out of our park funds, because this is a park only. So it's up to the board if we want to repair that roof, and if we do, give the green light to one of the 2 and then make an estimate.
Do you have a recommendation on which one to approve?
I asked both local companies, and as I went through them, they were very similar. I didn't see a lot of differences. So I guess as your conscience tells you,
bid is Sunnyside for $21,000. So I would move to approve Sunnyside for $21,000. $21,100.
Again, is it 21,000 or 2,100?
The document says 21,100.
I said when I said 5,000, I think the high had the bids is 50. It's more than 21,000. I think it's $25,000 that we have to have actual bids as far as for companies to come in and bid on a project. So I'm just asking $25,000. So I was incorrect. Any project of $25,000 has to be bid. This is an estimate, so you don't have to put it out to the public for bid. So I apologize.
So then I would withdraw my motion.
Why are you withdrawing? I just asked why you're withdrawing.
Because I'm probably confused.
Okay, so we have a amount of money when a project needs to be done. If it's over 25,000, we have to put it out to the public for bids. Bidding project, just like this building. But if it's less than that, we can just take an estimate and go forward. We don't have to put it out in the bidding process.
We looked at the budget and what money we have left for capital improvements.
This money would not come out of capital improvements because this is park. This will come out of our park fund. Anything to do with the park only comes out of our fund.
What's our park balance?
Our balance for the park fund is $122,000. That money was, a lot of that was given to us due to the rental of, no.
Oh, rental of
The tower. Yes, rental of the tower. And that money that we got from the tower was put into the park fund.
It's a one-time shot, so we spoke with Keller.
Yes.
So basically, it's not a budget, it's basically a fund that we can draw upon and, we have the same fall.
Okay, well, both the bids have elements that are under 25,000, right? So again, the motion seems like you're making and allowable in a public bidding.
So perhaps I just worded the motion correctly by saying accepting the bid. What Susan is looking for is approval to go forward with one of the bids. Is that correct? With one of the, I'm sorry, with one of the estimates. So then my motion would be to move forward with the Sunnyside estimate at $21,100.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
The reason that I suggest the lower one is, just for financial prudence, and I think there are some other park things that we're going to talk about here, and there is also in the future the request for the boosters for us to spend some money on the ball fields, and perhaps by spending as little as we can safely on the concession building to leave the money for some of those future needs.
Right, but the boosters is not part of the park.
I understand that the ball fields are, correct?
Yes.
Well,
And not to get off subject.
no, that's fine. So we have a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Fowler abstains. Discussion action on repair and replacement of playground equipment at Town Hall Park. Again,
is old. However, I did have a lady come out, her name is Megan, she came out and inspected everything. Between her and our park maintenance person and myself, we looked over everything and found things that do need to be replaced. As far as the chains, I gave you a list here. The chains on some of the swing sets, there's one seat that's torn. Some of the steps are rusting as far as they've lost the gripping. There's some other things in there that we found. However, this estimate that we were given, if we wanted to replace some of these things and bring our park up to a better standard, it was a total of, I believe it was just over $10,000. However, this is only for parts. This is not for removing the old stuff and putting the new stuff in. That labor would be additional. The Gerber company would not install that, because if they did install or replace anything on our current playground equipment, everything would have to be brought up to ADA compliance. There's a lot that goes into that ADA compliance. We would have to change out all our sand to rubber. We would be talking in the $100,000 range to get things up there. So this is a way that we can Band-Aid what we have, if we want to do that, or we can wait and try to get funding.
Who would be installing this then?
Well,
Parks Department?
well,
Our Park Department?
our park person has said that he's not willing to do it by himself. He'd have to have help with it. Megan was good enough to give me a name, which I don't have with me, of a gentleman in the area that does take old equipment, and I need to contact him to see if he would be willing to come in and help take out and help replace, because certain things have to be done a certain way. All the bolts have to be cut back. You know, I don't have the millimeter in front of me, but everything like that has to be done correctly. So yes, this is only for just the parts, so we can just look at it and maybe want to do it next year, but it's just something to keep in mind.
Well, I have a couple thoughts here. So we are getting towards the, end of the season. And if we put something new right now before winter, it doesn't seem to make sense to me. I also would like to get a real estimate from somebody who's going to do the labor, because we're going to pay them to do it. I'd like somebody who's insured so that, so I guess I move that we place this on the February agenda of 2026. Any further discussion?
And just noted in our budgeting.
Right. That's a great idea. All right, all those in favor of placing this on the February agenda, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Before we leave this item, the playground does get used a lot, and it'd be really nice to have, yeah. All right, item number 14, discussion action on Blade Runner mowing. Hi there.
How's it going?
Good, how are you?
Good. I haven't had to come and stand in front of you guys before, because I always ran into Tim Foster out in the parking lot when I was mowing, and he'd always say, "Oh, things." And I give him the 1, 2, 3, and then keep bringing it here, and everybody made a plan, and I'd get a phone call if it was up to me to take care of it. So, it's good to finally meet you all, unless you've all, a couple people have stopped out and said hi, but a couple things that I noticed that need some attention, or we've done in the past that I don't know if it's on the list yet. Aeration to the yard, I'm partial on that. Otherwise, my main thing, I know that something that hasn't been done for a while is on the north side of the cell tower, all the way down the back, that hasn't been mowed back. We've got some buckthorn trees that are about 12 feet tall. And thistles are growing like crazy in there. When the wind blows it back into the yard. And then they start to grow like crazy. Curious if you guys are interested in having something like that taken care of. On that same page, the trails at Cedar Hills, we can fit one lawnmower through there. The sumac on the east side is starting to cave in. So when if you go down there and look at the trail, you can literally see one little goat trail where everybody's walking down because the grass is brushing them as they walk through there. So just a couple things to look at. Doesn't have to be immediate. Could be next year or whatever. And then my other thought, I know we're talking budget things. The town hall gets 5 fertilizer applications a year, and normally I don't care. This year with all the rain, it's been a huge fight to keep the grass tamed while mowing. Showing up, in some spots it's been 8 or 10 inches tall in 7 days, and I have to cut it down to 3.5, 3 3/4 inches. So I've been mowing it 4 times to just make the grass clippings disappear. So I know when people ask me what my recommendation is on fertilizer applications, I usually say 2, 3 at most. I don't know if any of you guys have your yards fertilized and then have to cut it yourself. And you go, why did I have this fertilized? Because now I can't keep up with it. So I just want to continue to keep, costs everywhere reasonable for everybody, and just bring that to your attention. And it's up to you guys to talk about what you guys would like to do.
What are we doing now for fertilizer?
There's 5 applications. We just had the 5th one put on. I mowed on Monday, and when I pulled in, there's legs again. So I will tell you the first application is for dandelions and for crabgrass. That's important because the grass would not look like this if we didn't have that one. The second one is a fertilizer. They do a liquid, which when I was talking to the True Green guy in the parking lot, he had randomly pulled in last month having lunch, and I was like, oh my gosh, you were just here 2 weeks ago. Why are you in the parking lot? So I went to make sure he wasn't good. I said, he's like, nope, I'm just having lunch. I'm like, thank you. But I asked him what are everything, because I didn't know myself. And he sat me, I sat there talking to him for 10 minutes. The second application and the 4th application are a liquid. And he said when they're liquid, they can dial them up time and a half. And that's what they do, so that it makes everything look extra great and, grow. And I'm going, why on a year like what we've been having? And he goes, I don't have to mow it. And smiled at me. And I just went, today, The 3rd application is a granular. It has Grovex in it, which kills any of the bugs in the ground so that we don't have moles and gophers. I see the benefit in that because then you don't have moles and gopher all over in your yard. And then this last one that just went on in the last 2 days is just the fertilizer. It's just a granular, slow release. I usually tell people skip that one because the first thing you do, the first 3 weeks of the year is this last application goes on and it isn't all used up by the spring. And then now we've got a double dose just trying to keep up in the spring. So that's what I know.
So how much for the area by the buckthorn that's by the cell tower?
Usually I'm at 150 an hour. I would assume it would take me no more than 4 hours to do that and mow. I would mow both sides of Cedar Hill trails just to get that back another, it would open it up 12 some feet or more.
And how long would that one take?
That would be for both. I mean, if I wanted to say, you know, if we say no more than 5 hours, right, and 150 an hour, if we say that, when I come in and sweep the parking lot, I've always given a, well, this is what it should take me to do this area, and I always come in less than that. If I come in less and make it a better price for you guys, you're gonna call me. That's what I want, you know. I'm not here to, you know, shoot myself in the foot. So.
All right, and so the fertilizer, that's done by True Green, right?
The fertilizer is done by True Green. They do a great job. I'm not a town resident, so that I should say it or not, but I would hire a local company or at least get some bids. I don't know. I don't know what they charge, but I know everybody talks local. I don't do fertilizer. I could recommend a few people, but I stay busy enough cutting over 90 stops of lawns a week, and this is just one on my list.
Gotcha. Well, thanks for coming in, man. Any further questions for him? All right, do we have a motion?
Could we have his recommendation on fertilizer just for consideration?
Well, I think we heard what we said is there's the 2 liquid ones are just fertilizer.
I mean for service providers.
I think we should do our own, we'll do our own
That's fair.
search.
Okay. So is there a motion for the trail and the?
Cell tower?
Or do we have to make a move right now?
You do not.
You know, I think we should table that.
Well, so when does the buckthorn drop all its seeds and propagate? Is that now?
It's going to be now. So it doesn't, there's 3 to 4 berries, there's 3 to 4 seeds in every berry. And if you look at buckthorn trees, there's thousands of berries on them. So right now, the birds are eating them, they're flying around and dropping them wherever they drop them. It's a never ending, you can't beat Mother Nature.
Yeah, no, I get it, but would you wait a year or would you do it now?
If you give me the go-ahead, I would mow it this week because I have time. So it would get knocked down. Obviously, there's a couple other trees that are bigger up there that, you know, would require a chainsaw if they needed to come down. But it would just be basically to knock the thistle down, buckthorn down, any other invasive plant. Everything's done, it's seeded, it just needs to get knocked down. When I do brush mowing and prairie grasses, they have you do it in the fall, once everything's done, flower, right? Because when the seeds fall and that prairie grass or flower or whatever is planted specifically to grow there, will grow then. So the fall is usually not a decent time to do it, but it doesn't have to be. This stuff is just all scrub stuff. I do know that the snowmobile trail uses that north edge. I don't know if they send a mower through there or if they just let the trail go and they hit with their groomer. I have no idea. But this stuff's been going for. So with the buckthorn, I have a tree puller and I can pull it out by the roots, right? But one itty bitty root that's the size of a hair on your head can scrub back into the. It's an invasive, highly invasive. So, you know, but like you said, if it's something that was kept mowed then thereafter, yearly or every other year, it's not going to get big enough to reseed. You know, it's got to be a few years before stuff like that is big enough to seed again.
Have you ever moved this in the past?
The brush?
Yes.
No, I haven't. You know, I think I started going for the town, I believe, in 2012, and I think it's been mowed twice. Yes. And you have to ask Tim who he had to do it, or maybe it's in the record somewhere. But it's something that I can do, and it's things that I thought I'd bring up.
All right, folks, what do you want to do?
Yes, it should be. Yep. I'll make it work. And like you said, if I can come in less, I will.
I'll second the motion.
Motion by Foster, second by Blank. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you for coming.
Do you have any thoughts on irrigation?
The current one's in pretty good shape.
I think it's all right for right now.
Okay, thank you, sir. Moving on to discussion action on road improvements to James Circle.
Okay, I received, I talked with Matt, and James Circle has some spots on it that they have tried to patch in the last couple of years, and it blows up every winter. I did go and check out James Circle. I do have photos, unfortunately, on my phone to show you, but,
I can make it work if you pull it forward.
sure. There's this one, and then there's this heave over on the outside of.
So I'm just going to show the problem. There we go. The pothole issue. The damage issue.
And then that, I noticed that is an actual heave when I looked at it. I mean, that's gonna have to get taken out because it's a new spot that it's. The plows are gonna catch it every time. Those areas are very disintegrated. They're not gonna hold up from there. I was given an estimate that unfortunately it would be about $6,000 to have them cut out the asphalt and actually hot pave it so that it will last.
Okay.
This is money we did not have in our budget. However, I'm hoping that we would find the money because there was 2 roads that were supposed to be chip sealed and fogged this year that did not get done. Chippewa Path and Yellowstone did not get done, and that was due to equipment being damaged. The county's equipment got hit, so what they rented and they got done what they got done. But those 2 streets were not done this year, so they would have to be put on for 2026.
Do we have an idea of what those 2 streets would cost us? A lot more than the $6 grand?
Yes.
I would assume so,
But, I'm wondering if, since we're doing a highway assessment, that this would just, could we just hold this into the highway assessment and then, take it up again next month? Is that, because I think there may be some other things, we find that might be higher priority.
I tend to agree with you on that, yeah. I move we place this item on the November meeting agenda after we investigate the roads.
Sounds good.
Is that a second?
Yes.
Motion by Fowler, second by Foster. Any further discussion?
I do want you to take in consideration that asphalt companies do not stay, the plants do not stay open forever. And when we're getting close to November, we have to think about whether they're going to be able to do this project. So.
Understood. Any further discussion?
I would agree to amend the proposal that, if we determine that it isn't high priority, that it be done this year. So we don't have to wait for our next meeting.
And how's it going to work?
So let's say after we've done a road assessment,
Well, you made the motion, so you're fine with the amendment. Susan, are you okay with the amendment?
I am.
All right. Did you get that, Nick, the change?
Well, the way you motioned it, you made the motion, sir.
I'm following, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I made the motion.
Yeah, you made the motion to move.
Oh, I did. That's right. Yeah, I'm sorry. Right, I did. So I'm okay with that amendment. So the amendment would be then that if the road survey determines it to be high priority, we'll do it. If not, we'll put it on the November agenda.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're essentially authorizing, to make that decision if that's the way the road system comes out.
Very good. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries 5-0. Okay. Discussion on amending burning ordinance and fire inspection fees. Who placed this on the agenda?
I did.
Okay.
I had discussions with the fire chief, and the one reason was that they're looking for incremental increases in fire inspection fees. So when they go out to a site, initially I think they want a ladder of $100 a piece. And the primary reason is to make sure that it's an incentive for somebody to agree to complete the inspection in advance of a second fee. Currently, the fees are $100 each, and some people have a tendency to think $100 is too much. But if you give them 100, then the 200, and the 300, there's an incentive for them to complete the inspections in a timely manner.
Well, there's a second part of it, and that's the ordinance change. Did you want to comment on that?
The burning ordinance?
Yes.
Yeah, I think he wanted that more so from a safety perspective. And I think what he was doing was making it consistent with other communities.
Is that, do we know if that's what's taking place in like the other townships that are nearby us?
I didn't check. I didn't check, but it seemed to me in my discussions, it seemed like they had been going to the different towns, and now this is what they're putting together.
So at the end, everybody, if you look at the book in 18, there's a memo followed by proposed language change to the chapter 23. And I would not be in favor of passing this without some additional research. So I move we move this to the November agenda. Is there a second?
I second that.
All right. Any further discussion?
The fire chief did say he would show up at a meeting if you're interested in it.
Very good. I will amend my motion and to invite the fire chief to come to the meeting. Is the second still good?
Second, but still good.
All right. All those in favor of the motion then, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0. Discussion action on amending special event permit fees and rules. Event fees to $50 and time deadline to 30 days. I put this on the agenda. I have heard from multiple business owners in our community that indicate that current timelines are far too long and there are special events and the fees are too high. So in response to that, I propose we cut the fee in half from $100 to $50. And I propose, it's not 100% clear on what I meant here, but there needs to be a meeting where we approve, obviously, right? So it would be a minimum of 30 days with the understanding that there would be a meeting in between the application and the event. But there's no reason we need, 90 days now? That's a quarter of a year. And that gets really hard to have an event if something cool comes up for a business. I just feel like we're still going to approve it or deny it at a meeting, but there's no reason extended summer. So I would like to see that shortened. It just gives our chance for our businesses to thrive and cut down some regulation. So that's my rationale for putting that on there. I literally heard from 3 businesses that said that this is a problem. And I personally feel it's a problem as a business owner too, so I can have 4.
I think my concern on this is that, we've had a special event applications come in, and then, we responded to issues that they need to address. If they presented that thing 30 days before, there's no time for correction. So there's
Couldn't we condition approval on something like, okay, move your parking from your application to 20 feet to 30 feet, and if they agree, they make the condition?
We need a longer than 30 days. 30 days is just too short.
Not every community even has a special event, requirement. I think that in the past it's been applied very poorly to our businesses. I'm thinking especially of those on Rocky Drive. There's definitely been a lot of dissatisfaction with that. I don't even know that, if you're within your fire code, I don't see what the issue is with you requiring special event permits. It's just another layer of red tape for our businesses that is unnecessary. And I think that, I don't know, if somebody's going to close down a road or something, that's a different story. But I just feel like, businesses should have freedom to run their businesses the way they want to. Businesses do, especially those that serve alcohol or food, they do these things all the time. It's part of their business, and a lot of communities don't have this regulation law. And I just...
Sometimes it's to do with parking. When they have these special events, that there is a parking issue. Whether they're going to park within their property, or is it going to fall on our streets? So, and if they're not told that they can't do that, then they do that. It becomes a problem. 30 days is just 45, 90 is a long time, but 30 personally is too short.
Yeah, we definitely need to have time, if something's wrong with their application, for them to go back and correct it, and be able to get back to the next meeting before they're done, so they can hold their home. So I don't know if 45 is the answer, or use 16, but I do think 90 is excessive.
All right. I would make a motion then to cut the time from 90 days to 60 days, and the fee from $100 to $50. Is there a second?
Did anybody second? I'll second if they didn't.
Motion by Fowler, second by Lang. Any further discussion? One of the things I'm thinking too is we've already designated commercial zones, right? We've already designated these areas, and they're not scattered throughout our neighborhoods. These are areas that I think would reasonably expect, there to be parking, in the streets that are not occupied by residential. I mean, we all know where the commercial lots are. I just feel really strongly this is an unnecessary chapter altogether. But so anything that is better, I will support.
Well, I'm open with the idea of, addressing the whole situation from, in terms of research and so forth, but I just don't feel comfortable at this point in time to make a change. I just don't think we have enough information.
Well, are we making money off these people, or what do we need for $100 business owner, you know, that's $100 might be 7 hours of an employee. You know, we're asking them to fork over $100. They can, you know, on top of paying their employees. I just feel we need to be a little more business friendly, and there's no reason why we need $100 of their money. We're not here to make money off them.
No, if we have, you know, activity, a fair amount of activity in this area, I mean, it basically impacts our staffing at some point in time. And so, you know, then what happens is everybody else is essentially paying the staffing, you know, for those, you know, few heavy users or whatever. So, you know, I think there's that side of it also. And, you know, we're not talking about a whole lot of dollars here. So.
Well, I think as a small business owner, $100 is a lot of money. That's what I think. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Roll call vote, please.
Supervisor Foster.
Nay.
Supervisor Blank.
Nay.
Supervisor Lang. Supervisor Barzo.
Aye.
And Chairman Clark.
Aye. Motion carries 3-2. Moving on. Discussion action on SUNY surgeons. Susan, do you have an update for us, or who has the update? Go ahead, Frank. Well, you know.
Well, you want it?
Yeah, go ahead.
So, actually, the owner of City Surgeons came in today and put down 2 checks that are predated for October 10th and 17th, in the amount of $277.92 for each check. So he did come in, we spoke with him for a while, we did have those checks signed and received, so that is something going to be on the back of us. So that's the update that I have on that. So.
Have they passed all their fire inspections now?
Yes.
Then I move that we rescind the action that we were going to take against SUNY surgeons with the understanding that they must stay in compliance with their fire inspections.
And the 2 checks don't bounce.
Amen, I'll accept that amendment. Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
All right. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. 5-0 passes. Discussion action to add town clerk Nicholas Sanlos and town treasurer John Cromer to the bank accounts of First National Community Bank and Citizens Bank and all other financial accounts / credit cards. I did slightly amend what was on the agenda before the final one came out. I just tried to make all of our accounts so we don't have to keep doing this. We know who our staff is now. So, is there a motion to do exactly what item number 20 says? All right. All right. Motion by Blank, second by Foster and Beach are there. Rachel, any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes 5-0. All right. So I got the next one, discussion action authorizing interim clerk treasurer, should say clerk and treasurer, my bad, to stay on for training and duration. There was a photograph. I was in the office today and I sat down with Nick and Frank. Lana was obviously not there, but kind of mapped out on the calendar what days that we want to kind of discontinue Frank and Lana. Now, here's my thoughts on this. Lana's been a clerk as well, and she's kind of on a professional basis with us right now anyway. She's not keeping office hours. So I'm gonna do this in a series of motions so that we can just speed it up. I motion that we keep Lana available for training and questions through the end of the year as needed.
I'll second that.
Second by Lane. Any further discussion?
Yeah, can we put an estimated budget on that?
Well,
I mean, what's a reasonable amount?
we currently have her limited to 10 hours a week already. We might want to utilize her that much during the budget process if John needs help. So I would just prefer we keep that 10 hours in place.
So
I can't imagine.
Subject to a maximum 10 hours per week.
Yes. I accept that amendment. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Now, keep in mind, the intent is if we don't need her at all, John isn't going to call, right? Or Nick isn't going to call. Because Nick may have some, clerk questions, and she's been a clerk. So, all right, the second piece is for Frank, our interim treasurer, to stay on for training. Clerk. Sorry, yes, sorry, I said that wrong. All right, I don't have the document, I'll just use my phone. I can zoom in with this guy. Oh, thank you, that's it.
That picture shows very cool.
Yes. So I just took a picture of the calendar. So as it relates to Mr. Pascarella, I wrote the days in here, so just to speed this along, I would move that we have Frank work the following days. And he can check out early if he chooses, but October 6th, 7th, 8th, 13th, 14th, 20th, and 21st. By then, I believe our more than capable new treasurer will not need assistance. Clear. Sorry. It's getting late in the day there.
Okay, I'm so moved.
Very good. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries 5-0. Discussion action to increase Scott Blank's hourly rate of pay from $21.08 to $25 per hour for both office and park maintenance.
I put this on the agenda because we as a board decided, I don't know, a little over a year ago maybe, that if a board member or town employee goes above and beyond their normal scope of responsibilities, like say Tim Foster is in the ditches, with the inmates for 5 days for 8 hours a day, that he gets paid extra for that. And we as a board agreed on that, and I believe the amount was $25 an hour. Scott is a town employee. He should be making the same amount as the rest of us when we're working as town employees. And I feel very strongly about this.
Susan, this involves your husband, so I think you have to formally recuse yourself. Very good. So for this portion of the meeting, there will be 4 votes total, Mr. Clerk. But I gotta be honest, Rachel, I'm a little confused on something. So if we work more than our regular paychecks, that we're supposed to get paid $25 an hour?
I don't think it's paychecks, it's supposed to be unusual activities, that's, beyond, and that's a good question.
Well, I mean, look, part of our jobs is service, right? And part of our jobs are being here. First of all, let me just say this. I'm all for Scott to get $25 an hour. Okay, so let me be clear on that. I'm all for that. He should get the minimum and everybody else is whatever. But I want to recognize that Ms. Blank has worked untold hours during this transition that is not in her normal supervisory duties. I burned half of my comp time at the rate of $55 an hour as an attorney to be here. And I get 8 hours a year, so I burned 40 hours during this transition. I'm not asking for that, but I'm just confused on, I never knew that the above and beyond stuff was available to us.
Well, yeah, that's a good question because, I mean, I don't know if it's ever been exercised other than for the ditch work and for coming in and doing mechanical work, on like the furnaces or something like that. So it's rare and unusual kind of stuff.
Well, I would say having our clerks ditch us with no notice and having to have somebody be here in the office probably qualifies as that. I'm not making a request for myself, but I had no idea that this was even an option. Okay? I move we increase Scott's pay to the request of $25 an hour. Is there a second?
Well, second.
I also, in first discussion goes, Scott has been wonderful. And I mean that in every sense. He's handled the situation with grace. He has been the most friendly person at the window. And I think people left here, even though maybe they didn't get an answer right then and there, feeling good about our town. So I think he did a phenomenal job. And I just want to publicly acknowledge that. That he's earned every penny of that $25 going forward.
Absolutely. Yeah, he's done a great job.
All right. Been seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 4-0 with 1 abstention. Discussion action makes Scott Blank's hourly rate of $25 an hour retroactive to July 28th, 2025. Rachel, this is also yours, I believe.
This one I did not ask for, but I'm happy as long as he's getting the $25 an hour. For me, that's a win. As far as making it retroactive, I guess that would be discussion.
Well, here's the thing. Retroactive sets kind of a dangerous precedent. And I think Scott will be happy going forward, is my sense of things.
I would agree with that.
All right, hearing no motion on item number 24, last chance, just in case I didn't get that right. And we'll move on to number 25. Well, here we are. Discussion action. Susan Blank received $25 per hour, not to exceed 40 hours for work done during town emergency.
Okay, no, that was me as well. And that was exactly the situation that she is in is exactly where we made that decision a year and a half or whatever. Because is it fair for her to work full-time in the office? When she's making $400 a month. Is that fair for her? She has gone above and beyond and has really helped hold things together. And she has put in a lot of hours, a lot of time, and she should be compensated for that because right now she's really not working as a town supervisor. She's working as, kind of a town clerk.
Ms. Blank, you have to formally recuse yourself for this item as well. Rachel, I don't disagree with you. Without Susan, we couldn't have gotten through some of this. That work is certainly appreciated. I do not think she was acting in the role of clerk, though, during that time. There was a lot of things that were, expectations the supervisor, I think. She did go above and beyond, and it definitely was an emergency. Like I said, I wasn't aware that this was even something you guys voted on before. I'm not opposed to it.
It was meant for extenuating circumstances only.
Obviously, this kind of situation, wasn't contemplated. And I also really appreciate, what Susan's done and everything like that. This does sound like it's retroactive, however, and so I just think that it's also a bad precedent because we're not saying when this emergency began or whatever, so I feel uncomfortable with doing this.
Well, I can tell you exactly when the emergency
Well,
began. It was
I know.
5 o'clock on July.
Yes, exactly.
I know when it was.
Did we declare an emergency at that point in time? Now we're talking also about a retroactive situation. So that's my concern.
Well, and my only comment about this is, it retroactive? I guess, in a technical sense, but, again, and I know that the board had authorized this,
The board didn't authorize it for this particular type of situation.
well, this particular type of situation was not contemplated, correct?
That is correct.
And there was work that needed to be done immediately, correct?
True.
I wish I would have known about this, right on the spot. Service is one thing and donating your time, but, like I said, I was here 20 hours personally in the office running it. Susan was there for probably an equal amount of time. So Rachel, just out of curiosity, why didn't you include me in it?
I'm sorry, what was your question?
Why didn't you include me on it? I mean, I'm not going to take it, so it doesn't matter. I'm going to...
Why did I what?
Why did you not include the work that I did on here?
Well, because I did bring it up to you at our last meeting, and you kind of threw up your hands and said you weren't going to have any part of that.
Well, and I'm still staying to that position, but I also didn't know that the board had authorized this work, this type of issue. I guess it's a non-issue. I'm not on the agenda, and I'm not going to accept it, but I knew that going forward, that once the town declares an emergency, we can pay this retroactively for any future situations. Once the board approves it.
I think it should be more on the board at that time. I agree.
All right, so I'm going to take that as a second, Dan.
I think what we're saying is that, this is something that we would address at a future time if we have a similar circumstance. Yes.
That's the essence of my motion. Because that way, we're giving us a chance to declare it, and yes, you would have to look backwards at that point, but it would be closer in line, so that, we're not in one stop.
Yes.
All right, does everybody understand the motion?
Could you formally rephrase it?
What's that?
Could you formally rephrase it?
Yes.
Say it together.
My motion is that in the future, where there is an unforeseen situation that could involve town supervisor or chairman's compensation, that it be brought to the next board meeting for consideration, and in that instance, if approved, it could be retroactive.
I will second that. And, Rob, I really wasn't trying to leave you off, but I did tell you about it during the meeting when we were just chatting, and you kind of just said you wanted no part of that, so,
Yeah.
so that's why I didn't include you on the agenda.
All right.
And that's the only reason.
I 4-0 with an abstention. Now, we're not done with this item per se. I made one motion. Is there a second motion somebody wants to make?
In regard to what?
Use blank specifically.
Well, I would like to make a motion that we commend Susan for all of her extra work. We really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
I would second that and echo that exact same sentiment. All right, all those in favor of Dan's public recognition motion, signify by saying aye. 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 Motion carries 4-0. Number 26, communications items for future agendas. Keeping in mind we already put a bunch on there for the 21st, and that we are going to have Excel, boosters, and workshop on the 22nd. Did anybody think of anything right now, or do you want to wait?
Yeah, I have one thing I'd like to talk about. We used to open up the town hall for small meetings, for town residents, like HOA meetings and things like that. But the previous office staff was having nothing to do with that. So I would like to bring that up and talk about it again, because it is not our building. It belongs to the people in the taxes. It's their building. So I think that if an HOA of 20 people want to come in and hold a meeting, I don't think we need to hire a cleaning team afterwards to come in and clean. So I would just like to discuss it again. I think that it belongs to the people.
Very well, that's the agenda. Anybody else? This time. Keep in mind, I won't finalize the agenda. Quite soon. I won't finalize the next agenda for quite some time.
That's fine.
I have no communication from town attorney or staff other than what we've kind of referenced with the boosters. We've already kind of said that we're going to talk to them more, and I'll effectuate that and we can go between. Again, if there's any conditions, get them to the clerk.
On the future agenda, it doesn't probably have to be on the agenda, but I would like to put an absolute deadline for when these agendas are put together and when they're done. Whether it's 4 days before our next meeting, whatever, I would like an absolute deadline.
We'll put it on the agenda. And just to your point on that, when it was literally just me, Scott, and you in the office, it's hard to get those meetings done but now that we've got more than competent staff, all right, anything else on the agenda for next month? If not, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second. Motion by Fosterlings, second by Bartizol. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All right. Good long.